and Junya Ito are the front three. But make no mistake, Paul Robinson, they're a talented group, this Japan side. They're 18th in the ranked in the world, and they will pose a threat to England.
Well, they've surprised a few people, haven't they, in major tournaments and in big games. They're a team that are in form. They're unbeaten in the last 7 against European nations. You look at recent results. I mean, they've recently beaten Brazil 3-2 in a friendly. A credible draw 2-2 with Paraguay. They're a team that are very well organised, very well coached. Coach has been there for a long time. Players understand him, and I think we'll see. It's going to be a tough test for England.
Yes, Moriyasu has been in charge. He was appointed back in 2018. Actually saw them at the last World Cup in Qatar, where they did ever so well to top the group, in a group that contained Germany and Spain. And their record is actually they're unbeaten in their last 7 matches against European nations. So England will be playing from left to right as we look, as our Scottish referee Nick Walsh blows his whistle. And we're underway here on BBC Radio 5 Live. The final game on English soil, and one final audition to stake a claim, bearing in mind that in 60 days' time, that is the deadline that FIFA wants all the World Cup squads to be named by. It is approaching fast, and here a number of players have an opportunity for one final time to impress Thomas Tuchel, Paul.
Yeah, it's a big night, isn't it, for the likes of Phil Foden, Cole Palmer. We know that Jude Bellingham's an automatic pick. We don't expect him to come onto the pitch tonight, but players in that attacking role. And again, what we said in the pre-game, for those of you just joined who's missed it, Harry Kane is not in the starting 11 tonight, missing out through a slight knock that he's picked up in training. But this is the situation that no England fan and Thomas Tuchel didn't want. We're experiencing an England team. What do they do without Harry Kane?
Well, 12 goals between this starting 11, and that tells you about that the numbers need to improve in the absence of Harry Kane. Led to believe it's nothing serious, it's only precautionary, just a slight issue picked up in training, and not prepared to take that risk with Harry Kane. And instead, Mark Gahey, who's on the ball here, the 129th different captain for England and the 4th different skipper under Thomas Tuchel's reign, as the ball goes back to Jordan Pickford. Jordan Pickford, who 15 hours of football since he last conceded in an England jersey. He's setting his own record of 10 successive clean sheets. Half-time, incidentally, at Carrow Road, and England's under-21s do lead by a 1-0. Suzuki, the goalkeeper, cleared. High ball, dropped down towards Palmer. Ben White back towards Palmer. They're going to play this false 9. They're going to just see Gordon's still on the left, Rodgers to the right, and then Palmer and Foden are going to get as close as they possibly can to try and occupy that back 3 of Japan, who go press the ball now, and Konsa will shrug off the challenge of Ueda. And Ben White, who was booed when he got the goal against Uruguay, but I haven't heard too much of an adverse reaction to his name here tonight, as he starts for the first time against Japan, for the first time in 4 years since he played against Ivory Coast. As this is Kaishu Sano to come forward and out to Nakamura. Nakamura away from White, and he curls in the cross, and he was looking for the run of Ueda, and it went all the way out for a goal kick. But that's the sort of threat that Japan can pose.
That was lazy defending from Ben White. It looked like he had Nakamura on this near touchline exactly where he wanted him. Put in a lazy challenge. Nakamura skipped round him easy, delivered a ball across the England 18-yard box. Fortunately for England, there was nobody on the end of it. A good attacking intent. If England didn't think Japan had any type of attacking threat, that's a warning shot early doors.
Certainly is. The reason that Ben White got the call-up after not being named in the initial squad, as that was a poor ball by Konsa. Nakamura feeds it forward, but Konsa redeems himself as he steps forward, he retrieves the ball, and now it's with Foden, is that he came in to replace Jarrell Quansah. And in terms of the structure of the squad, the fact that he can play as a central defender or at right back like Quansah, that was the reason why Thomas Tuchel opted for the Arsenal man. And in fact, he played as a central defender, as a substitute against Uruguay. Here he is as a right back, just to reinforce that. But you would think that the 2 right backs, if everybody's fit to go to the World Cup, would be Reece James and Tino Livramento. However, it's still an opportunity to try and push as he goes forward on this near side, the right. But Palmer waits on the halfway line, and then Anderson, who's right of the centre circle to Gahey. O'Reilly shows himself, and then interception on that far side. It was Taniguchi who was coming forward. He has to battle for the ball, but he wins it. He pushes the ball down the line now for Douan, and then Matoma is the one who's got forward here, and his cross is going to be eventually back towards Pickford, who fell to the floor in clearing it. But Japan have had a couple of encouraging forays, first down the left and then down the right.
Yeah, that was a back pass from Mark Gay to Jordan Pickford that the England goalkeeper really didn't want. First of all, he tried to shield the ball, thought his goalkeeper was going to come and claim it. He didn't, then he poked him back. A really awkward back pass. Jordan Pickford could do nothing else. Clear his lines, level with the 18-yard box. But it's been a good start from Japan. They've started on the front foot and they've pressed England.
Yeah, they have. I've got to say, I saw the game against Scotland at the weekend. And they started, obviously, with a different 11, but the substitutes that they brought on, they only got stronger. They brought more established players on. And it was Junya Ito who got the late goal. 6 minutes from time at Hampden. He's been involved in 4 goals in his last 3 appearances as the Genk player, as the Scottish referee, in a garish, orange luminous referee's jersey, gives a free kick to England. But already this is Anderson and Mainu in the centre of midfield, O'Reilly on that far side. Japan at this stage have got a lot of royal blue shirts back behind the ball, that samurai blue, as Gordon darts forward on the left, but quickly closed down by Wanatami. And in fact, last touch off Gordon, as a number of Japanese supporters are waving their blue little sheets in a way of support, shimmering in the light. Have a goal kick, 0-0, 5.5 minutes played. Quite
obvious with Anthony Gordon and Morgan Rogers. They're the ones that are going to supply the width for England. But the interchange in the middle, Cole Palmer's actually very high up alongside Phil Foden. Japan just about to take this goal kick, and 2 England players, Foden and Palmer, are on the edge of the 18-yard box. They're the ones that are going to be the highest and set the press. But the interchange in this early stage, as you can see, there's going to have to be some fluidity to this performance.
Zion Suzuki clears the ball away downfield, taken on the chest very neatly by Ueda. His turn was fouled by Anderson, actually gets a free kick. That was a lovely take. That had dropped from a good height.
Long kick from the goalkeeper. Actually, England was stretched because they'd set the press, because they thought the Japanese were going to play out from the edge of the 18-yard box. They set the press, but the distance between the attacking players and the defenders was vast. Goalkeeper dropped a really good long ball into the centre-forward's feet.
Japan then in possession. This is Junya Ito coming forward on the left-hand side. Just a little slip allowed England to get it back. Tight triangular passings. They had to quickly get rid of the ball because Japan are hunting for it there and trying to close England and pen them in deep inside their own half. But now an opportunity to run forward with Gahey, the England captain, in the absence of Harry Kane. There will be 4 World Cup playoff matches that will be settled tonight, and in fact one of them will mean that Japan will know their opponents in Group F, the game between Sweden and Poland, to see who joins Japan, Netherlands and Tunisia. That remains 0-0, but Czech Republic are leading Denmark by a 1-0, and they would go into Group A with Mexico, South Africa and South Korea. And then overnight we will find out who wins between DR Congo and Jamaica, and the other game is Bolivia against Iraq. That will kick off at 4 o'clock our time in Monterrey, and then the lineups will be complete, as the World Cup is certainly more than now on the horizon, as Jordan Pickford, all in yellow, away towards our left-hand side, just waits to clear his lines as he passes the ball forward to Palmer. But again, Japan are quick to try and close England down at every opportunity.
It's a good press, it really is a good press. Trying to cut off the options for Jordan Pickford. He's looking to play out, but Ben White's had to push up on this right-hand side and give him an option longer.
Netherlands are leading Ecuador by a 0-0 in an international friendly. 0-0 here on BBC Radio 5 Live. Thomas Tuchel cuts a rather frustrated figure at this stage.
Did you see him then? He looked really despondent, didn't he? Cole Palmer chose to turn and play the ball backwards rather than a forward pass.
Yeah, turned away in frustration as Anderson bites into the challenge. Mainu then towards Foden. He's going to try and get past Keishu Sanu. Here is O'Reilly, the left back. It's very, very congested though in that middle area of the Japan half. England playing from left to right. Should also say that was a ball delivered with purpose from Anderson to Rogers. Looks for Palmer, but again they just can't find a way through. Not only will we have 11 substitutes tonight, but we're also going to have a minute water break, 1 in each half, as Palmer enters the penalty area. Rogers right-hand side with a cutback, didn't keep the ball in play. It will be a goal kick. Uruguay didn't agree to the 11 subs. That's why we only had 8 on Friday. They didn't agree to the water breaks. And in fact, when John was talking to Thomas Tuchel yesterday, they didn't agree to a great deal. However, Japan have been far more accommodating.
He was looking for a result, Marcelo Bielsa, wasn't he? He was massively under pressure coming here to play against an England side. Yes, it was a friendly, but for Uruguay, I think the manager's future was probably on the line as well. But he got the performance.
Although when John did ask Thomas Tuchel if we were having water breaks, Thomas Tuchel said, "I don't know, are we?" You had the BBC's football correspondent giving the information to the England manager. 9.5 minutes played, 0-0. Quickly down the line to Junya Ito. But Mark Gahey came across to fill that void left by Nico O'Reilly, and that was a foul by Doan. And England will get a free kick that Anderson will take quickly. But already there feels a sharper tempo to the game than what we witnessed on Friday.
Yeah, and those water breaks, they only serve to break up the game. We saw that in the Club World Cup in the summer, didn't we? But it also might stop the goalkeepers going down injured, because it does give the managers an opportunity for that little team talk that they quite often want in the middle of a second half.
Yeah, all part of the World Cup preparations that both sides were quite happy to buy into here tonight at Wembley. 0-0. Mainu, out it goes to O'Reilly. Foden's made the run. Gordon's then got into a central area. That's the beauty I get of that front quartet, isn't it? The way that they're able to interchange.
Yeah, there is a rough structure. Obviously Rodgers on the right and Gordon on the left, but as we've seen, as the play moves forward, if Palmer and Foden drop deep, the two wide players will come inside. But it's going to take a lot of working on the training ground, because already in this early stages of the game, we've seen players intruding on other spaces.
Well, England have got a free kick, which is about 6 yards in from the left touch line as they play in all white from left to right. Cole Palmer is going to take it. This should be an outswinger. Rodgers, Anderson, Konsa forward. O'Reilly is poised. In it comes now from Palmer. Comes off the back of the head of Gahey. Drops inside the penalty area. Rodgers with a shot that was blocked. Mainu jumps in the air. Konsa actually heads the ball back. England back in possession. Gordon forward of the centre circle, plays it to Anderson, and Elliot Anderson now towards Rodgers. White goes on the overlap and finds him. Swift move, England coming forward. White then wins a corner as it was seen back by a tumbling Japanese defender, but that was a slick move down the right hand side. They got round the back of the Japanese defence.
Really simple piece of full-back play, just the old-fashioned overlap from Ben White, does really well, gets around the outside. His first touch is excellent, takes him right in behind the defence, gets the cross across and it's blocked at the near post, wins England the corner on this near side.
Hiroki Ito was a teammate of Harry Kane at Bayern Munich with the intervention. Corner kick on this near side. This is where England can be a real threat from set pieces. Palmer again to take it on this near side, the right. It's an in-swinger, left-footed, and the header blocked, comes towards Gordon. Rodgers, 2 shots, both blocked. Gahey, that's blocked as well. Ball cannoning around inside that penalty area. Mainu will deliver it back into the box. It's headed up rather than away. And in the end, Japan can finally clear their lines with an overhead kick from Junya Ito, but there were 3 bites at that.
It was a bit of a mess, that was, in the Japan penalty area. Really good delivery from Cole Palmer. Free header in there for Mark Gahey. Ball bobbling around, it comes back to Gahey, gets a decent strike. A lot of bodies in front of the goalkeeper, it ends up getting blocked. But once again, a sign that set plays really could be an avenue of success for England.
I watched Zion Suzuki make a point-blank save from Scott McTominay at Hampden in the very early stages on Saturday evening. His defenders in front of him were real warriors there as they put their bodies on the line. His 3 shots were all repelled from the 23-year-old goalkeeper, who's looking to try and establish himself as the Japanese number 1 going into their opening game against Netherlands in Dallas on June the 14th. There's Gordon on that far side, the left, with a cross. And that was met by Watanabe to head the ball away. And O'Reilly will keep the ball in play on that England far side. And now Gahey at a walking pace. Back to O'Reilly once again. Quite a high line from Japan at this stage. Mainu drops in between the 2 central defenders. White's pushed up on this near side, the right. And Konsa drops back in his own half. And talking of Scotland, we'll go back to Hill Dickinson Stadium in Ailey Barber,
where it is still Ivory Coast 1, Scotland 0, thanks to that Nicolas Pepe goal. Scotland have had a lot of the ball, not done a huge amount with it. A couple of shots early on that didn't really trouble Alban Lafont, but Ivory Coast so quick on the break, and Scotland looking vulnerable in their change of formation to a 3-5-2 at the back. It is still Ivory Coast 1, Scotland 0.
Gahey, he looked for a delicious ball out towards Rodgers, who just couldn't quite keep it in play on this near side. What about Wales, Northern Ireland, Molly Stevens?
Goalless at the moment, Ian, but the visitors are having to battle for the ball at the moment. Wales doing exactly what Craig Bellamy wanted them to do on Thursday, and that's hold the ball. Lewis Koumas with the first shot and chance of the game, on target but into the hands of Conor Hazard. Wales 0, Northern Ireland 0.
And Panama are leading South Africa by 1-0. They, of course, will be one of England's opponents. The final game in New York on the 27th of June, so they're leading 1-0 in that friendly. One of the other teams in England's group, Ghana, who they play in between that opening fixture against Croatia in Boston on the 23rd of June, sacked their manager, Otto Addo, today. So Ghana will have somebody alongside Thomas Tuchel when they go head-to-head in Boston for that second match as far as England's group is concerned. Here it's all about the final game as their preparations, and the ball in field towards Rodgers, lays it off to Palmer. He can come onto this ball towards Gordon, couldn't quite control it. Not too sure whether he was trying to take it in turn or to lay it off towards Foden as it went through towards the goalkeeper Suzuki.
Yeah, it's been a good little spell this for England, and actually the movement there of Anthony Gordon coming in off the touchline, ball fired into him, quick one around the corner into Phil Foden. You can see how this could potentially work for England when they play like that.
We know Czech Republic are leading Denmark by 1-0, but keeping an eye across all 4 World Cup playoff matches. Chris Coles.
And there's been an important goal in Bosnia where Italy have just taken the lead. Moise Kean has scored. Poor error from the goalkeeper, dispossessed and Kean into an empty net. And the only other goal in the game you mentioned, Ian, in Prague, where Czech Republic lead Denmark 1-0. Still no goals between Kosovo, Turkey, Sweden and Poland.
Thank you, Chris. 2014 was the last time that Italy reached the World Cup finals. As Japan coming forward, player on the far side was fouled. That was Keishu Sanu, and they get a free kick just inside their own half. 0-0, 16 minutes played.
It's almost unthinkable, that, isn't it, with Italy?
Yeah.
With a country with such tradition of footballing success, and then to win the Euros sandwiched in there as well in between it and not qualify for the World Cups. They've got an opportunity now, though.
Denzel Dumfries, incidentally, has been sent off for Netherlands, who lead Ecuador by 1-0. 0-0 here in this international on BBC Radio 5 Live. Ball played to Doan on that far side, the right, then it goes back. England are quite happy now to advance down the pitch and try and put pressure on that back line, and looking to turn with Kamada of Crystal Palace, like Mark Gahey. He'll have fond memories of that FA Cup final success here at Wembley, where he played the full 90 minutes, but now at a walking pace it's Taniguchi to bring the ball out of defence, and then he passes the ball forward, and Keishu Sanu, whose younger brother has also been travelling with the Japan squad. And the tempo's just dropped now for the very first time. 17 minutes played, 0-0.
Just look at the England press, and it's actually almost at times it's Palmer and Foden as a front two. Anthony Gordon and Morgan Rodgers, they've obviously got the defensive responsibilities in the wide area, but it's Foden and Palmer who are setting the press, and quite often at the moment they're quite isolated. They're the most advanced up the pitch, pressing alone.
Well, of the 11 players who were rested for that first game, we've obviously seen Saka and Rice return back to Arsenal. Harry Kane has been rested tonight as a precaution. There's Byrne and Dean Henderson are on the bench. So 6 of the 11 rested players are starting here tonight against Japan, but they've only had 3 training sessions since they linked up with the rest of the group after that Uruguay match. So time has been limited for Thomas Tuchel to work with them with the structure, and of course primarily up until the last session they'll have trained with Harry Kane leading the attack, so that wouldn't have necessarily helped with their preparations for this game.
No, because that is a very different system, isn't it, playing with one isolated striker up front as to what they've got now, because at times when they're in possession it's quite clearly a 4 up front, but very interchangeable, with Phil Foden and Cole Palmer being the most advanced.
That's the voice of the former England international goalkeeper Paul Robinson, who was England's number 1 20 years ago when they went to Germany for the 2006 World Cup. As here, England are playing Japan for the first time since they played them in a warm-up game before going out to South Africa some 4 years later. It was played in Graz in Austria, where Japan actually scored all 3 goals in a 2-1 defeat. There were own goals for Tanaka and Nakazawa, as a rather eventful game where Frank Lampard missed a penalty that particular match in the England 2-1 victory when Fabio Capello was the manager. And talking of South Africa, they've just equalised 1-1 at home to Panama. But 19 minutes played, still goalless.
Very good caveat that, Ian. It was almost as if he'd been planned and passed a piece of paper with that South Africa score on then. Very well linked.
Well, the piece of paper hadn't been handed when I started talking about South Africa. It was just a mere coincidence, but rather fortunate. But the game, after a bright start, has now just dropped.
It's dropped, hasn't it? Yeah, the tempo's certainly gone out of the game. It's possession based for both sides. Both have been very respectful of the other when they have possession. That really high tempo and press from Japan has dropped off, and England are enjoying possession, but possession without really going anywhere with it.
Here is Pickford. Pickford plays the ball to Foden, who, before letting it drop, with a cushioned pass out towards Gordon on the volley, laid off towards O'Reilly, back towards Guéhi, who a little bit in the air finds his fellow central defensive partner Ezri Konsa, who can come forward. White's gone on a run that wasn't spotted by Konsa. Japan's defence has pushed up in an attempt to try and catch White offside, but England have almost come to a standstill as Moldova's under-21s have equalised. So England under-21s won, their Moldovan counterparts won. That's at Carrow Road after that 1-1 draw against Andorra the other night. Pickford now has wandered with the ball at his feet, all in yellow. He stands in between the 2 central defenders midway through the England half, and then he passes the ball forward to Mainu. And Japan just were poised and were waiting.
They're very well structured, Japan. You can see the way that they're set up and they're pressing again.
Sweden are leading Poland by 1-0. Newcastle's Anthony Elanga has scored for Graham Potter's side in that World Cup playoff game. It means that the only goalless playoff game between the European nations is Kosovo and Turkey, because Czech lead Denmark by 1-0 and Bosnia-Herzegovina 0, Italy 1.
So often do we see international games played at this type of tempo. This is a game it's crying out for England to create their own tempo. This backwards, sideways rotation of possession, yes, you dominate in possession and territorial advantage without actually having any real forward thinking. You know, the first thought is sideways, the first thought is keep possession, rather than you look at the attacking players that they've got on the pitch. It's down to the players individually to create a tempo.
Well, the ball from Gordon that came from an infield position is going to be tidied up by Hiroki Ito, and then the ball will go out wide. England now are going to try and close Japan down. Zion Suzuki, the goalkeeper, takes the touch away from Foden and passes the ball back towards Ito, and then Nakamura sweeps it away downfield, but Guéhi just steps forward. There was no foul there on Ueda, as looking to make that run forward was Morgan Rogers. It was a diagonal run from the right touchline, as there's been a goal now in Cardiff. Molly Stevens.
And Northern Ireland take the lead in Cardiff. Jamie Donnelly headed for goal. It came off the post, but he was there for the rebound to flick it in, and it's Wales 0, Northern Ireland 1.
And here Japan have just taken the lead, and it is Brighton's Matoma who has scored, slotting the ball past Jordan Pickford, who concedes for the first time in 923 minutes of international football. The ball played across from the left-hand side, met sweetly by Matoma, and Japan lead England by 1-0.
Yeah, Thomas Tuchel is absolutely furious down there, because that all came from Cole Palmer losing possession deep in the Japan half. They broke and they hit England very quickly. Nakamura is down the left-hand side. He had that earlier opportunity. They put the wonderful ball across the box. This time he gets round the outside of the England defence. It's the left exposed. Ben White's out of position. He's pressed too high. He's looking to join the attack, and there's a big gap down that left-hand side. The England central defenders narrow up. Nakamura gets there, gets into the 18-yard box, side foot across the box, and Matoma times his run to perfection, and with this instep of his right foot places it into the bottom left-hand corner of Jordan Pickford's goal. Nothing the England goalkeeper could do.
His own record of 10 successive clean sheets has come to an end. We are midway through the first half, and to take you through with a drink break now in operation here at Wembley, here's our correspondent John Murray.
Thank you, Ian. Yes, 1-0 to Japan then in England's last match here at Wembley before the World Cup. And on the subject of the World Cup, what we're seeing now in front of us here at Wembley Stadium is a trial run. I mean, it's a cool March evening, but they're having a water break. But this is so the two coaches can see how it works. And for England, for Thomas Tuchel, this is very well timed, having just gone a goal down, because it's effectively a timeout, Paul.
Yeah, it's all about preparation, isn't it, and preparing the players for what's to come in the summer. As we know, some of the conditions are going to be very hot. But actually, as I said earlier today, some of the stadiums are fully enclosed and air-conditioned. So will that be a rule that applies in those stadiums as well? That, for Thomas Tuchel there, I'm looking at the goal again, it was too easy from an England point of view. They were broken open far too simply. They were in really good possession of the ball inside the Japan half. It was Cole Palmer who lost the ball, turnover. Ben White was out of position because he was looking to join in the attack higher up the pitch, and they were just open and exposed.
And that's why it's England 0, Japan 1. Water break is almost over. We've got a choice of listening for you tonight. Ivory Coast, Scotland is over on Sports Extra, so that's where you can hear the commentary via your BBC Sounds app. And what's happening, Eilidh Barber?
It is still Ivory Coast with the lead thanks to that Nicolas Pepe goal, but Scotland coming back into it. They've just had their first real opportunity. Scott McTominay forcing a really good save. It was good ball winning from Billy Gilmour, the two Napoli players involved in the build-up to that. McTominay shot saved wide of the post. Still Ivory Coast 1, Scotland 0.
So here at Wembley Stadium, England are 1-0 down, facing the prospect of defeat here at Wembley for the first time under Thomas Tuchel. But O'Reilly shooting from distance, but probably 30 yards, getting on 35 yards. And I know he scored 2 goals in a cup final last time he played here, but that was optimistic from the young Manchester City man.
It certainly was. Found himself in a good area though. It seemed to open up just in front of him, but he was a long way out and did well to, well, he didn't even hit the target from there.
Let's get another check from Chris Coles, who's keeping his eye on 4 matches, the World Cup playoffs, the European playoffs, Chris.
Yeah, and they're all really exciting, John. We've seen another goal, this one in Stockholm, where Sweden lead against Poland by 1-0. Anthony Elanga, well found by Ayari. Elanga into the top corner. Bosnia pushing against Italy, but still a goal down. Still Kosovo 0, Turkey 0, and the Czechs still 1-up against Denmark.
Which one's most attracting your attention?
Sweden-Poland, which is probably the one that I didn't have on the list.
Yeah, I thought it might be. Here's Gordon on the left-hand side for England. 5 Live from the BBC. England having to come from behind. Anthony Gordon goes to his left, then to his right, then back to Nico O'Reilly. And then Anderson gets a foot in, but Japan in the blue shirts are able to clear it away. England win it back though. O'Reilly again for England. Foden with the pass to his Manchester City teammate, and then it breaks down with Anthony Gordon. But England in the all-white kit tonight, the new kit, pristine white, red numbers on the back, red stripe down the sides. They've got to show some urgency here with the team that's playing tonight, Paul. I reckon, well, what do you think? Maybe 6 of them would start the first match at the World Cup?
When you look at the bench, there's players like Jude Bellingham, Marcus Rashford that we know that the manager likes. Tino Livramento potentially would come into that, and the ones that have left, Declan Rice, Saka. We don't know where John Stones is at the moment fitness-wise. Harry Kane, we know absolutely will start, and I think it's certainly it's a trial formation up front at the moment, but it's not really working. Quite often the 4 front players are all together within the width of the 18-yard box. They don't keep the pitch wide.
And that's just it. Mainly Morgan Rogers on the right-hand side, Cole Palmer more centrally, then Phil Foden, and here is Gordon on the left-hand side now, and of course O'Reilly's joining in with that as well. Gordon gives it away centrally, and the Crystal Palace man Kamada is able to take it forward through the middle, but well tackled by Mainoo of Manchester United. Kobbie Mainoo, it's his first start for England since September 2024, having come on as a substitute against Uruguay on Friday. Long pass from Elliot Anderson. Morgan Rogers takes it down beautifully in the box, tries to work it across, but it took a deflection from the defender, and Japan are able to clear.
A wonderful ball from Elliot Anderson over the top, caught the Japan defence by surprise. Good first touch from Morgan Rogers, got into a good area.
Nice again, Foden and Rogers together. Now Ben White's taking it into the penalty area, but tried to flick it to Phil Foden, and there were too many blue shirts for Japan in there. Ecuador have equalised against Netherlands. It's an interesting friendly tonight. 2 teams who might do quite well in the summer. Enner Valencia scoring to make it 1-1 in Eindhoven. Here in London, England 0, Japan 1, and England with the ball in the Japanese defensive third. Then Anderson through to Foden. Palmer does well to hold off the challenges. Gordon outside the area. Absolutely packed Japanese box. They've got most of the team. I think they had 10 men in their own box there for a moment. And the ball is taken out towards the far side by Cole Palmer, who wins a free kick in the full-back position.
And Elliot Anderson, once again, he's been superb. I think the transition from defence into attack has been key to what England have done. He's the one that's going to have to create some kind of tempo. He's snapping into challenges when England lose possession. He's the one who wins it back.
Japan 1-0 up, but facing this set piece. And 10 of England's last 18 goals have come from set pieces. Gordon's going to take this over in the Japanese right-back area. Quite a double list for Japan, wouldn't it? If they were able to win in Glasgow against Scotland on the Saturday and against England at Wembley on the Tuesday. Japan have never beaten England in a senior men's international, although they've only been 3 before. Gordon's ready now with this free kick. Almost half an hour played. Gordon with the right foot, clips it in high to the back post, and that's an easy catch for goalkeeper Zion Suzuki. All in green, stretches high, catches the ball unchallenged.
Yeah, it's a simple set play, caught easily by the goalkeeper. We say it all the time. Set plays are nothing unless the delivery's right, and actually 40% of those 10 goals that you talk about, John, were scored or assisted by an Arsenal player.
Yes, are you Arsenal in disguise? Well, there's a distinct lack of Arsenal here tonight, with Eza having to pull out of the squad. He, of course, missed the cup final as well. I mean, that's a genuine injury. We know Madueke is a genuine injury. And with Declan Rice and Bukayo Saka, Thomas Tuchel told us yesterday, he just was not willing to take a risk with them. Here come the Japanese with Matoma, the goal scorer, the Brighton man. Oh, cutting in on his right foot, but then back outside the penalty area. It's played forward centrally by Kaishu Sano, and then England are able to clear it away. But they're a clever team, aren't they, Japan? They've got some very talented footballers.
Yeah, and they've spotted a slight weakness within this England formation. They've spotted a way that they can get at them, because Ben White's charged with going forward. He's the one for looking for the longer ball. He's the outlet. He's allowed to join in higher up the field.
And here they come again with the ball on the left-hand side. That is crossed into the box. Gay on the stretch, and he's just able to get it away. The new England captain, Mark Gay, in the absence of the injured Harry Kane. Kamada won the FA Cup here with Crystal Palace last season, just like Mark Gay, playing against each other here. He swings the ball out towards the far side. The cross comes in from Doan, the Japanese captain, and then a snapshot from Kaishu Sano, the central midfielder, who volleys it high and away over the top of the crossbar. It remains England 0, Japan 1, and this is Paul Robinson.
It's another half opportunity. That time for Sano. The ball just wouldn't sit down for him, about 25 yards out on the angle. But they're not afraid, this Japan side. They'll press England high. They've had a lot of joy in the wide area, specifically down this left-hand side. England's right.
England playing the ball out from the back after a goal kick. Japan, who will be in a group in the summer with Netherlands, Tunisia, and either Sweden or Poland. And as we heard just a few moments ago, Sweden winning 1-0 against Robert Lewandowski, and Poland, that'll be Gyökeres against Lewandowski tonight, won't it? If assuming they are both in the teams. So 1-0 to Japan here in London, and in Liverpool with you, Ailey Barber.
It is still Ivory Coast 1, Scotland 0. That is the half-time whistle. Scotland have enjoyed good spells of possession. They have tested Alban Lafont in the Ivory Coast goal, but it is Ivory Coast on the break who have been far the most dangerous side, and that is where their goal came from. Nicolas Pepe, the former Arsenal man, finishing off with a simple tap-in after Traore's shot came back off the inside of the post. So at the break, Scotland 0, Ivory Coast 1.
1-0 to Japan here. Under Thomas Tuchel, England have played 3 teams ranked in FIFA's top 20. They lost to Senegal in Nottingham. They drew with Uruguay, and now they're finding it tough against Japan, who are ranked 18th in the world. A long pass over the top that Gordon is able to take it down in the area, trying to find a position, but there are 2 defenders there. Plays it back to Menu, then back to Gordon, 22 yards out to his left. A curling shot clips the top of the crossbar. And Elliot Anderson is saying that the goalkeeper got a hand to that, and referee Nick Walsh agrees. It was saved by the Japanese goalkeeper, but Elliot Anderson wasn't far away.
It's a super save from Suzuki, and the Japan goal, it really is. That was heading towards the top corner. Elliot Anderson once again took matters into his own hands. 22 yards out on the angle inside of his right boot, took the ball off Anthony Gordon, curled one, that was heading in.
Did he get a touch to it?
I think he just touched it onto the crossbar. There was a deflection on its way. We're just seeing a slow motion replay.
What, did he?
Didn't.
I don't think
no,
he did.
But the defender did in front of Elliot
Did he?
Anderson. There was a slight flick off the defender's boot.
Very good, eagle eyes. Corner for England. Palmer takes it. Then Gordon's cross, that is blocked and it bounces out of play for a throw into England, level the edge of the penalty area. Lee Carsley's team have gone back ahead against Moldova in the European qualifiers. England, of course, defending champions. Archie Gray of Tottenham has scored the goal. If it turns out to be the winner, he'll be doing the interviews afterwards. I wonder what they'll ask him about. Portugal leading Scotland by 2-0 in the under-21 qualifiers. And Panama back in front against South Africa in that friendly. Panama, who will be the third team that England play in the group in the summer. Croatia, Ghana, Panama. And it is 78 days from now, England will be in Texas to play Croatia, who are currently ranked 11th in the world. So they will, in the rankings, that'll be the highest ranked team that England have played under Thomas Tuchel. Ball played towards the edge of the box, bounces away from Palmer, and Japan are able to clear it up to the halfway line. So just one goal tonight, scored by an English-based player, but scored for Japan by Kaoru Mitoma. And England with it on the halfway line. 10 minutes to go to the break here at Wembley. And Anthony Gordon wins a free kick, just challenged from behind by Watanabe, and a free kick 10 yards inside the Japanese half.
And this is something that England are going to have to learn to play against. They are going to come up against teams during the World Cup that will sit off, they will sit in a low block and defend, and England are going to have to find a way to pick them open.
Palmer back towards the halfway line. Elliot Anderson, just a few moments ago, Anderson, who was yet to open his account for England. This is his 7th cap. So it clipped the top of the crossbar on the way over. England attacking. O'Reilly now into the full-back position, beats the defender, left-footed cross, chance for Foden in the middle, but he couldn't, whether he got his head to it or not, he wasn't able to direct it goalwards, and he's left on his knees in the 6-yard box.
That's a really good defensive header. Nico O'Reilly does brilliantly well down the left-hand side, flicks the ball up into the 6-yard box, and looked for all the world that Phil Foden was going to head it into an empty net. The central midfielder, Kamada there, got there just in front of him.
Okay, carrying the ball forward, but he's lifted that way over the top of Anthony Gordon. So let's go back to Chris Coles, who's got more on the European World Cup playoff finals.
And in the game that has been catching the eye, there's been another goal. Poland are level in Stockholm against Sweden. Nikola Zalewski cutting in inside the penalty area, right foot shot into the corner. So Sweden won, Poland won, and Kosovo have just hit the crossbar. They've never played in the World Cup, they've just hit the bar. Still 0-0 though against Turkey.
And it is in that Sweden-Poland match, it is Gyökeres on one side and Lewandowski on the other. So not all Arsenal players have pulled out of internationals this week. Here's Palmer for England, who are 1-0 down. Palmer gets away down the right-hand side. He is one man who's got plenty to play for here tonight. Still going, Palmer, looking for the support from Rodgers, which he gets. Rodgers just beat the Japanese defender to the challenge. Now it's Kobbie Mainoo to the edge of the box. Palmer pops up there as well, and he finds Nico O'Reilly, his former Manchester City teammate when they were coming through the ranks together. Anthony Gordon now twisting on the left-hand side, ball in towards the edge of the box, but that is cleared away back towards the middle of the half. Now through the middle to Palmer to Foden. There's another Manchester City connection there as well, of course, but Foden loses out, and Japan have got it back, and it is hit long towards the halfway line. So let's get another update from Cardiff from Molly Stevens.
Where it's still Wales 0, Northern Ireland 1. Some great chances for both sides since the goal. Jamie Donnelly looking for his second. He tried a back pass into goal. That didn't come off. Joel Colwill has had 2 good chances for Wales to fly in, leading with his head, but no luck on target. Wales 0, Northern Ireland 1.
Also still Republic of Ireland 0, North Macedonia 0 in Dublin tonight. The other thing we should say, Paul, is that in terms of international experience, this is, you know, quite an inexperienced England team. Jordan Pickford in the England goal, winning his 82nd cap tonight. He's the only man who has passed 50 caps. So Phil Foden's winning his 49th this evening. But 8 of this team out there have fewer than 20 caps.
Just having a quick glance at my notes there, I think Jordan Pickford, he almost surpasses everyone added together if you take Phil Foden out of the side. I think that shows the level that he's at, Jordan Pickford, at the moment. I think, what is it, his 82nd cap tonight? but this 71 of those caps have been in competitive fixtures, 23 at major tournaments. I think his experience is going to be invaluable to England.
Yeah, he started the lot, hasn't he? Russia 2018 onwards, World Cups and Euros, and tonight he draws level with Raheem Sterling's total of England caps. One more than Rio Ferdinand, your old teammate. England 0, Japan 1. It's a bright start. I mean, it's been better than Friday night. I don't think there's any doubt about that.
I think it's been important for England to create their own tempo, which they're not doing at the moment. They're rotating the ball and keeping it again at the back and in and around the midfield and back to the defenders. But when the likes of Morgan Rogers and Cole Palmer actually take the initiative, Anthony Gordon, and run forward with the ball, that's when England look at the brightest.
Japan leading through the Mitoma goal, which is well worked, set up by Nakamura down Ben White's side of the field. Here's Palmer, edge of the area, but runs into congestion. So busy on the edge of the box. Foden now trying to find a way through, but again congestion, and Foden's conceded a free kick on the edge of the area. Just as he tried to find a way through there, he caught Doan, the Japanese captain, and it's a free kick.
Perfect from you again, John. Perfect description. Congestion. That's exactly what it is. When England get into a certain area, the two wide players, Morgan Rogers and Anthony Gordon, they head towards the middle of the 18-yard box. All four of England's attacking players have been within the width of that 18-yard box. It's been very congested, all trying to take up each other's space, trying to play too intricate in and around the edge of the box, and it's been very easy to defend against.
Yes, congestion, not too far away from the North Circular. As infield goes Mitoma, the goal scorer, but it's won back by Kobbie Mainoo. Couldn't find the pass forward though. That bounces onto the arm, back onto the arm of the Manchester United man, into free kick to Japan, halfway inside their own half. Japan, who incidentally, I mentioned the fact they beat Scotland on Saturday. They've won their last 3 matches against European teams. Turkey and Germany, beat Germany well, and have won 6 of their last 7 against European teams. And as you mentioned before the start of the game, famous win in the autumn when they beat Brazil for the first time at home in a friendly, Carlo Ancelotti's Brazil, having been 2-0 up.
But you can see why, can't you, when you watch them first hand like this, the structure and the team setup.
Kaisho Sano plays it through to the edge of the penalty area, a chance, and the shot from Ueda hits the top of the crossbar. Looking to see if there was an offside flag, but there isn't. Took a deflection, landed on the top of the England crossbar. Must have come off the foot of Ezri Konsa, I think. Landed on the top of the bar behind, and a corner to Japan from the right.
He did look initially a long way offside. Just getting to see the replay again. He might have just timed his run perfect in between the two England central defenders, but once again, turnover possession, England losing possession, one ball straight through the middle of the defence, and that's another clear chance for Japan.
Yeah, Ueda, the number 18, the centre forward. Was he on? Looks as though he might have been offside. Here's the corner anyway, which is headed away at the near post, then hooked goalwards, but straight into the gloves of Jordan Pickford, who's already been beaten tonight. Pickford, for the first time in 11 England appearances, launches this one downfield, but that is dealt with by Kaisho Sano, and Japan have got possession back in their own half. 42 minutes played, Japan leading 1-0, and they've asked a lot of questions of England tonight, and England so far at the other end not able to come up with any response.
No, as we say, it's almost, you're going to have to find a key for the door when teams play like this. Japan won't just sit deep. They do have that attacking threat on the counter-attack, as we've seen, but actually they're quite happy now. They're a team happy without possession. They sit off and let England have the ball in the middle of the pitch, and England have looked better when they've gone longer and into wider areas.
England with Morgan Rogers, catches up with the ball down in the full-back position. Ben White is behind him. Ben White, his first start for England for 4 years, after that eventful 10 minutes or so that he had on the pitch on Friday night, when he was roundly booed when he scored. Don't think we'll probably never ever see that again, you know, an England goalscorer at Wembley who was booed. But the crowd tonight, Thomas Tuchel did say, you've made your point, and actually it does feel that that the crowd have decided that they agree with the England manager. Here he is, in fact, Ben White in possession. Don't hear any reaction from the crowd, even though we're inside our commentary box here at the glass in front of us. Palmer is tugged over. It's a free kick to England on the right. So a chance for a set piece with just over 90 seconds of the first 45 minutes to play.
Yeah, it's gone quiet inside Wembley, hasn't it? There's a bit of a lull in the game, and it's up to England to create that tempo. You're not going to get the noise and the support from the fans unless they're watching something that's entertaining them, and they've seen it in flits and starts with England, but no real constant pressure from them.
So it's free kick for England. Palmer and Gordon are discussing it together. Two-man wall. So this is near the right corner of the box, probably, what, 6 or 7 yards outside the area. England have caused a couple of problems with the set pieces that they've had so far for the Japanese defence. Palmer is going to strike it in, left-footed, and goalkeeper Suzuki just lifts up his palms and allows it to go beyond the far post. And with the score, England 0, Japan 1. Let's get another update from Chris Coles, who's keeping his eye across all of those playoff finals.
Developments in Zenica, where Italy, leading Bosnia and Herzegovina 1-0, are down to 10 men. Alessandro Bastoni, a straight red card, denying a goal-scoring opportunity, taking out Memic when clean through on goal. Little doubt about the decision. So Italy still leading, but down to 10 men. And Sweden have just retaken the lead against Poland. Right back Lagerbielke has scored just before half-time. So Sweden 2, Poland 1.
Sweden, who would be in a group with Japan in the summer. They would actually be due to play Japan in the third match in the group in Dallas. You and I think it's you and I are going to be covering the first Japan match at the World Cup, aren't we?
I think we are.
Against Netherlands.
It's a nice start to the tournament, isn't it? And I say, certainly enjoyed watching them this evening, and the structure of them. They're going to cause problems for teams.
It's a start to the tournament for you. I'll have already done a match by then.
Well, you're looking forward to that one, aren't you?
I am. Mexico, South Africa. So there's 1 minute of added time that has been indicated to me. So we had a 1 minute water break, and we've got 1 minute added on. Ball played down the left. Gordon chases after it, but it runs out of play. And that will be a throw-in to the visitors, who have a chance here tonight through that Kaoru Mitoma goal to win against England's senior men's team at Wembley for the first time. And Thomas Tuchel is going to have some thinking to do at half-time. And of course, the other point is tonight, for those who haven't heard, as well as the water breaks, the two coaches have agreed that there can be up to 11 substitutions this evening. It could change the whole team.
No, I don't like that. I think there's too many. It makes the game too disjointed. I know we've only got a certain amount of windows for those substitutions, but with only 1 minute added on, it doesn't really give you much football time.
And indeed, there goes the whistle. And it is 1-0 to Japan at the break. England's under-21s now 3-1 up on Moldova. Ethan Nwaneri has scored his second goal of the night. But here, Paul, a good goal scored by Japan on the breakaway midway through the first half. And for England, they had that volley of chances, didn't they? Gay and Rogers early on in the match. The shot from Anderson that was deflected hit the top of the crossbar. But at the same time, Ueda for Japan also saw his shot strike the top of the bar, so Japan could have had a second.
Yeah, they've had their moments, England, without any real consistency throughout the half. I think Elliot Anderson's been superb. He's been a driving force in midfield. I think he's the one that's looked to create the tempo. He's looked the one that's the most dangerous. His ball's forward, in behind the defence. He's the one that's tried to create the tempo. The front four haven't really gelled in a way of a continued performance. At times they've been in each other's way. It's been too narrow. They've been in each other's space. I think there's certain things that Thomas Tuchel will look at. The defence at times were too exposed. Ben White was allowed to push too high, and that's the space in behind him. But listen, Kobbie Mainoo, Elliot Anderson for me were excellent. Morgan Rogers on the right-hand side. He's shown again what he can do. But I think there's got to be more to come. More tempo, more increased possession in better areas.
We've got Words Don't Come Easy again tonight.
The same playlist.
The song they played at half-time on Friday, and we've got it again tonight. But I know what's going to happen if it stays like this, if it carries on like this. Get yourself ready for a few days from England fans. What are we going to do if anything happens to Harry Kane? It's England 0, Japan 1 at half-time. And Kelly Cates is here with us in the commentary box at Wembley.
Yes, John Murray and Paul Robinson taking you through the end of the first half. Ian Dennis with us here as well. Paul, I know you were talking about the impressive performances of Elliot Anderson, but that front four not gelling, is that a consequence of the fact that they're used to playing a certain way with Harry Kane in the team, or should they be adapting more quickly to a new lineup?
I think you've got four players there who are very, very similar, who make similar runs and in the same areas. You know, the two wide players, Anthony Gordon and Morgan Rogers, when England do first start their moves, they're very wide, but as soon as the ball's transferred into the forward areas, they naturally migrate into the middle and the width of that 18-yard box. So you've got Foden, Palmer, Gordon and Rogers all within 15 yards of each other. You know, you could throw a cloth over them. They're that close in the middle of that box. And Nico O'Reilly's not really been allowed to get around the outside to provide any width. Basically, it's been a very narrow performance in the attacking third without any width to help the creativity.
Paul Robinson, John Murray and Ian Dennis will be back with us for the second half here from Wembley of England against Japan. In the meantime, we can head to Cardiff and get the half-time score between Wales and Northern Ireland with Molly Stevens.
Where it's Wales 0, Northern Ireland 1 at the break, Kelly, and despite having 60% of the possession, Wales have allowed themselves to be cut open on the counter-attack down the right-hand side. Northern Ireland, real good value for their lead. They've taken those chances to strike at goal. One has come off through Jamie Donnelly, who struck the post and poked it home on the rebound. It's Wales 0, Northern Ireland 1.
And as we've been hearing throughout the evening, 8 teams in Europe trying to play for 4 places at the World Cup. There have been goals, there have been red cards. Chris Coles.
There has been plenty going on, Kelly, as we thought there would be with so much on the line. Could be a story developing in Zenica, where Bosnia-Herzegovina trail to Italy 1-0, but the Italians down to 10 men after Bastoni's straight red card. Their goal came from Moise Kean, capitalising on a poor keeper pass-out, but what a second half in prospect there. In Stockholm, Sweden lead Poland by 2-1, probably the game of the night. So much entertainment, great saves galore. Elanga putting Sweden in front, Zaluski equalising for Poland, but Lagerbielke on the stroke of half-time giving Sweden a 2-1 advantage. Just the one goal in Prague, where Czech Republic lead Denmark 1-0. Pavel Schultz crashing home from close range early on, and goalless between Kosovo and Turkey, where the weather in Pristina is atrocious. It's been pouring with rain. Kosovo have come the closest. They've hit the bar, but no goals between Kosovo and Turkey. So Italy, Sweden and Czech Republic in front, but I fancy there's much more drama to come.
And they're about to get underway at Hill Dickinson Stadium in the game between Scotland and Ivory Coast. Ellie Barber is there. Ellie, Scott McTominay had a really good effort in the first half, at which point I spilled my tea in the commentary box here at Wembley. But not much else to write home about.
No, that was their best chance so far. And Ivory Coast, as much as Scotland have had good spells of the ball, Ivory Coast have been really, really dangerous on the break. They got their goal from it, took the lead through Nicolas Pepe in the first half. So at half-time it was Ivory Coast with that 1-goal lead. We've just kicked off in the second half. Scotland have made a couple of changes at half-time. Scott Bain has come on for Liam Kelly in goal. His 4th cap, his last one for Scotland was 7 years ago, but he's having a really good season for Falkirk back in the Scottish Premiership. And Lewis Ferguson has replaced Scott McTominay in the midfield. So it's still, as we kick off the second half, Ivory Coast 1, Scotland 0.
Ailey, thank you very much. We'll be back at Wembley for the second half of England against Japan. England trailing by 1-0 at half-time. And after the news, we'll hear from the England women's manager, Sarina Wiegman. Bringing you the headlines, Bethan Holmes.
The voice of the UK.
This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
Donald Trump's told the UK and other countries to get its own oil from the Strait of Hormuz and not rely on the United States to help. The strait's been blocked by Iran since the war began. Those comments come as the King and Queen confirm a state visit to the US next month. Our chief North America correspondent is Gary O'Donoghue.
His frustration is continuing, and he's directing it particularly at the United Kingdom, who he says were promised an aircraft carrier, which they didn't. And now the Defence Secretary also saying there's meant to be some sort of Great Royal Navy, and where are they? Unbelievably, ironically, on the same day the President says, oh yeah, by the way, here are the dates for when the King plans to visit the US.
Well, extra British troops are being sent to the Middle East to help defend the UK's allies from Iranian attacks. The deployment means there will be nearly 1,000 service personnel in the region. Here's Defence Secretary John Healey.
Iran is expanding its attacks, and so my message to the Gulf nation leaders I've met is that Britain stands with you, will stand with its partners. That's why we're announcing new air defence systems for Saudi Arabia, Kuwait and Bahrain, and the extension of the joint UK Typhoon squadron with Qatar. And it's quite clear that they recognise some of Britain's best are now defending Middle Eastern skies.
In other news this evening, the UK is to pay France £16.2 million to patrol beaches and intercept small boats attempting to cross the English Channel for the next 2 months. The current agreement expires at midnight, but this gives the two sides more time to come to a new deal. The Metropolitan Police have confirmed the teenage boy at the centre of the Scott Mills sexual offences investigation was under the age of 16. He was questioned in 2018 about claims dating back to the late 1990s. The investigation was closed because of a lack of evidence. The BBC has asked Scott Mills for comment. And the British Medical Association says it will ballot senior doctors in England over strike action. Resident doctors, formerly known as junior doctors, are planning to walk out next week in a separate dispute.
On BBC iPlayer.
This race, it's a lifetime of exploring.
They're on a journey into the unknown.
It's cold, but it's beautiful.
A race of more than 12,000 kilometres.
Here we go. Welcome to Central Asia. So excited, just buzzing.
The further they go,
having the time of life down here,
the closer they'll get.
I've told my mum not coming home till it's over, so.
Brand new race across the world.
We're going to race. Let's race all out. We're going to Mongolia!
Starts this Thursday on BBC iPlayer.
This is 5 Live Sports with Kelly Cates.
Listen on BBC Sounds.
5 Live Sport comes to you live from Wembley this evening, where England trailed Japan by 1-0 at half-time. Second half commentary coming up after we've heard from the England women's manager Sarina Wiegman. She's named her squad for the upcoming World Cup qualifiers in April against Spain and Iceland. 17-year-old Erica Meg Parkinson is the surprise inclusion in the squad. Sarina explained why she's picked 23 players instead of 25.
We have 23 now, because this is what I want to continue with. We tried out a couple of things. You can also bring 23 in the squad when you play a game, and at the same time there's many games to play still this week. So if we think it's necessary to bring in extra players because there's some question marks about other players, we have that opportunity.
Obviously Grace Fisk and Poppy Patterson, two of the players that dropped out of that squad. Have you had a conversation with them? Maybe what was your reasons behind that?
Yeah, I had a conversation with them. Of course, competition in the back is really high, and what they have brought, I think, is positive. But at the moment, there's some players in front of them, and as it stands right now, I think these players are in a good place. And you talk, of course, now then about Leah, but we expect Leah to be back. But if I think that we need to add some players to be sure that we have a full squad, then I can bring them in. But back to your question, Poppy and Grace, I was happy what they've done. Spoke to them, but at the moment there's other players in front of them.
Obviously the biggest surprise for us all in the squad today was 17-year-old Erica Meg Parkinson being included. She's quite unknown to fans in England. Obviously she's played a lot of football outside of England, so can you tell us a little bit more about her as a player and as a person?
She plays in Portugal, and she went through our pathway. She played for the under-23s also. She's an attacking midfielder. She's a very dynamic player, very aggressive player, wants to go forwards. Is pretty technical. I am aware that the step from Portuguese competition and under-23s to the seniors is a big step. And at the same time, I want to see it and give that opportunity. And also, of course, Ella Toon is injured, Grace Clinton is injured, so we're a little bit low in depth in midfield. And she's the next in attacking midfield at this point.
Obviously another big month coming up as well with Spain and Iceland. Some really exciting games, isn't there, for England?
Yeah, it's going to be. I think this is a very tough window. We've seen Iceland. We've played Iceland. You've seen it too. And Iceland is a very disciplined team, very physical, and defend really well. So it's hard to break down. And they're very dangerous in the counter-attack and set plays and throw-in. And they have a long throw-in. And I think we did really well the first game we played them. And at the same time, of course, that we need to bring those levels again at this camp. And with Spain, the first game, of course, we all know Spain. We've met them now several times, and it's going to be another clash. I think two teams that have done really well over the past couple of years, or longer even. It's Wembley. There's going to be over 60,000 people there, which is amazing. I think that really helps us through. So we're really thankful again that so many people take the opportunity to come and watch us. And we hope we'll be at our best. We're going to do everything to be at our best and put a good performance on the pitch.
There's obviously been a lot of noise around the Spain game. A lot of people, because of the world rankings, would expect England and Spain to be battling it out for the top spot in the group. So have you been aware of that noise, and how do you deal with that, I guess?
Well, we know where we are. We know where Spain is. We also know, there has been a lot of talking about Spain, but I think in this group we have seen also that in the first half we were 0-0 against Ukraine. That's a hard one, and Iceland was a tough one also to break down. So first, we have to beat those opponents, and we want to beat, of course, Spain. We want to qualify for the World Cup as quick as possible, and then you need good results against Spain, but also win all the other games, which is a challenging task. We know that. I'm really aware, of course, of the levels of Spain, but I think Spain is also really aware of our level, and we just go for it and want to get a very good result. And that noise, there's excitement, and we're just going to figure out, okay, how can we make the chance of winning that game against Spain as high as possible? So what do we have to do? That's what we're working on.
And just finally, obviously some big games coming up in the Champions League quarterfinals. Will you be at any of them?
Well, it was last week. Of course, I'll be watching it and keep a close look on it. I want to watch the most of the things now, so I watch on TV. We watch a lot live, and the staff, with the staff, we do that together. Yeah, it's an exciting period. Already now before the April window, but also after the April window, it's going to be decisive games. So it's so good to see the players in these high-level games, and it's for a coach to be a coach of England. It's exciting.
That was Sarina Wiegman with BBC Sports' Emma Sanders, and there's more reaction to that team announcement on the latest episode of the Women's Football Weekly podcast. Elsewhere, Roberto De Zerbi has, as been expected, appointed Spurs manager on a 5-year deal. He takes over with the club just 1 point above the relegation zone. We're at Wembley this evening for England against Japan. Japan are 1-0 up at the break. Paul Robinson is here with us at Wembley to look ahead to the second half. Paul, I know you were saying it at certain times in the first half, it's been quite slow from England. They could have dictated the pace of the game a bit more. I wonder if there's an element of this is how it's going to be in the States, particularly in the high altitude games like Mexico City and places like that, or places where they aren't going to be in the air-conditioned stadium. If we think back to Japan and South Korea World Cup, that was really causing problems for the players, and they were slow games.
Yeah, but I don't think you can attribute a mild night in Wembley to it tonight. No.
What I was saying was they're going to have to show that they can make the breakthrough when they have to play like that.
They can be patient, and they pick and choose their moments, and when they do attack, but when they do create and they do attack, it's got to be with more purpose and a lot more directness, and certainly more width. But it's been so narrow with the way that the front four have played, and I just think they need to play with more tempo. But when the tempo is increased, it's a team collective. It's not just one or two players bursting forward with the ball. As a team collective, if it is going to be a sporadic game and you are going to lift the tempo at certain times, it has to be everybody, and it's been a little bit disjointed at times. I've loved what I've seen from Elliot Anderson. I think he's been superb. I think he's been the engine room. He's battled, he's won tackles, he's been very forward thinking. Every time he gets the ball, whether it's to run forward with the ball, he looks for that ball in behind. But it's the front four players, the interchange and the cohesion. Thomas Tuchel's going to want to see more from those players in the second half.
There is the potential to look for 11 changes in this second half coming up, and of course there's going to be a drinks break. Could be a little bit stop-start, but England will be looking to get back in it against Japan this evening. Paul Robinson is here, as we've been hearing. So too is John Murray, and taking you through the beginning of the second half is Ian Dennis.
Thank you, Kelly. Well, all those changes that you talk about, none of them have actually happened at half-time. As the second half gets underway, the match resumes. That means that up to 11 substitutions now for either side can be made at 3 separate points in this second half, and there will of course be that drinks break as well midway through the second period too, so it could have a rather disrupted nature, as you say. But Japan are leading by a 0-0, and in their samurai blue, they're playing from left to right as we look against England, who are all in white, as the ball is passed forward, and Junya Ito looks to try and turn. I'll run through the two teams for you. Doan on this near side, the right. Ito makes a run off him. They've started very brightly here of Japan, looking to build on that lead from the first half. Ito passes the ball in field, and Anderson with the interception. Another goal in Cardiff. Molly Stevens.
And it's taken just 40 seconds for Wales to find their equaliser. David Brooks from the D feeds the ball through to Sorba Thomas, who runs onto the ball to score into the bottom right-hand corner from close range. Wales 1, Northern Ireland 1.
O'Reilly is forward, Gordon on this near side. England in front of this main stand. Gordon looking to try and hit a right-footed curling effort that is blocked, and then Mainu tidies up with a header back towards Gahey. I'll run through the two teams for you. Pickford is in goal for England. Then you've got White, Konsa, Gahey and O'Reilly. A midfield of Anderson and Mainu. And then that front four of Palmer, Rodgers primarily on the right, Gordon primarily on the left, and then Foden as the false nine. For Japan, Zion Suzuki is in goal. A back three of Taniguchi, Watanabe and Hiroka Ito. A midfield of Doan, Kamada, Sano, that's Keishu Sano, and Nakamura. And then a front three of Junya Ito, Ueda and Mitoma, the goal scorer. Just cutting that ball out from the back and putting the ball out of play on that far side was Taniguchi. And an update now from the Everton Stadium, Hill Dickinson Stadium, Ailey Barber.
Still Ivory Coast with that one goal lead. Nicolas Pepe with the first half goal. Scotland have enjoyed a lot of possession. They had a Hurst header that just went over the top of the crossbar a few moments ago. They're coming closer. It is still the Ivory Coast 1, Scotland 0.
Thank you, Ailey. Here is Gordon. Gahey passes the England captain in the absence of Harry Kane. Back to Gordon once more. Bypasses Mainu. Japan, though, have dropped off. England now with Anderson along the ground. Cole Palmer, who's tried to make things work. He's tried to initiate something at times. Rodgers hasn't really got involved in the game a great deal, has he, from that right-hand side, Paul?
No, it's been difficult for them. I think, players like that need service in decent areas.
Here is Gordon linking up with O'Reilly down the left. O'Reilly quickly closed down by two Japanese players. Gordon then delivers the cross and taking no chances. Headed behind at that far post. I think it was by Taniguchi. It'll be a corner kick to England 3 minutes into the second half. They trail by a goal to nil.
He was arriving late there, Ben White, and that's maybe a factor what England are going to have to look for to create this width, because the two wide players took it inside. They had some good joy down the right-hand side when Ben White overlapped in the first half. Maybe that's something that Nico O'Reilly can do on this left-hand side and get the fullbacks into good positions.
Japan have got every outfield player inside the penalty area. Corner kick right down the throat of Zion Suzuki, who played all 90 minutes against Scotland, but they did use all 10 substitutes in that 1-0 win at Hampden over the weekend. England's under-21s have beaten their Moldovan counterparts 4-1. Spain 0, Egypt 0 is a half-time score in another friendly international. Here is Rodgers. Infield, Mainu passes the ball on the ground and it reaches Gordon. Gordon outside the area. Gordon to the edge of the box. Infield, Mainu tried to turn. Stepping out of defence though, and that was a good bit of work by Ritsu Doan. Passes the ball back, and in fact now it will be with Watanabe. Taniguchi to carry the ball forward and lays it off to his left, and it's now with his left with Hiroka Ito, who hits it forward, and England get a free kick from the Scottish referee, who is Nick Walsh. There's a little bit of urgency here for England, who trail. Foden caught in possession, breaks though towards Gordon, nicks it back in towards Palmer. How quickly was he closed down and closed out by the blue shirts who just swarmed all over England.
They're an impressive defensive unit, and what they're doing very well is diverting England into the middle of the pitch where all the traffic is. And the word John used in the first half, congestion, it's apparent once again.
Here is Doan, who's forward. O'Reilly beaten to the ball by Doan, who cuts inside and tries to beat Pickford at his near post. Saved by the legs of the England goalkeeper. He almost squeezed in a second. They've carried the greater threat when they've got forward. It's no surprise to anybody who's seen them. It was backing towards Doan inside the penalty area.
Looks sharp, didn't he, Ritsu Doan? One long ball over the top, caught Nico O'Reilly completely unawares, out of position, and it looks like he was going to try and get back goal side O'Reilly, but Ritsu Doan was very quick in behind him, took it on the chest. It was a tight angle to beat the England goalkeeper Jordan Pickford. Pickford anticipated he was going to go across, but he tried to cheekily squeeze it in at the near post. Thankfully for Jordan Pickford, he'd left his legs there.
Do you think that Thomas Tuchel's in somewhat of a conundrum? Because I'm sure that he will have had planned substitutions mapped out for this game. He's conscious of the amount of minutes that certain players are playing, and yet the scoreline would not necessarily dictate the time to experiment. But you look at the bench and there's not many game changers on that substitutes bench for England.
But the system changes in somebody like Solanke.
Gordon looking for White, who's forward, but it's played back by Taniguchi and cleared away downfield by Suzuki, the goalkeeper. Battling for the ball was Guéhi. No foul on Ueda, as Mark Guéhi will play it short and to his right. Here now is Foden coming to collect the ball. Phil Foden turns and then hands it to Palmer. There's not a great deal of movement for England.
Slow again, isn't it? Slow and pedestrian, like we all know when we see these internationals. We've seen it so many times over the years. It's very difficult to play against a team that is so well organised as Japan, but you have to pull them out of position. You have to move the ball quickly.
Ball play forward up towards Junya Ito. He's slowed down by Guéhi. Doan is going to come on the overlap. Junya Ito to Doan. Junya Ito is now going to go on the overlap. Instead, the cross is delivered by Doan, and it's gathered in by Jordan Pickford, all in yellow, away towards our right-hand side. 7 minutes into the second half, and Japan still lead by a goal to nil on BBC Radio 5 Live.
Yeah, they pose a threat, Japan, particularly the two wide players. Nakamura was good in the first half down that left-hand side. Doan's had two half opportunities here in the second half. They move the ball from defence into attack quickly, one or two passes, and they try and get the wide players involved.
The last European side to actually beat Japan was Belgium in the 2018 World Cup, when they won by 3-2. They're on a good run of form. They arrive here refreshed after the majority of these players didn't start against Scotland. They've only had 2 defeats in their last 21 matches. Moriyasu, their coach, has been there for a long time, has got them well drilled, well organised, and there's a good structure about them. The layoff, Kamada. Back then to Watanabe. Here's the Crystal Palace midfielder once again to run infield, as a number of Japanese substitutes are warming up in front of us. Back then to Zion Suzuki. It's a clearance right down the middle. Ueda tries to control it, slips over and gives the ball towards Anderson. Anderson now plays the ball, but it went to the outside of Rodgers, and it was easily dealt with by Hiroki Ito. Up towards Doan on this near side. Matoma, the goal scorer, makes a run off the ball. Here is the Brighton player now. That was neatly worked. Triangular passing patterns, and now out towards Junya Ito. And he skips over one challenge. He commits the goalkeeper. He lifts the ball in towards the penalty area. And it was just over the head of Ueda. But another enterprising move from Japan.
Really good piece of play down the right-hand side. Once again, Mark Guéhi gets committed into a challenge. Ball flicked over into the middle. Jordan Pickford ends up in no man's land. Thankfully for England, Ben White's there at the far post to head it into a safe area. But worrying for Thomas Tuchel that England are getting exposed so simply.
Well, Thomas Tuchel said yesterday, it plays to my narrative that we do not arrive as heavy favourites in America. As Japan burst forward once again on the left-hand side, it is pulled back, and the effort from Junya Ito is closed and blocked by Guéhi. But Japan are carving out the opportunities.
It's almost a carbon copy of the goal in the first half. That's twice they've got in the wide areas. They get to the byline and they cut it back, and England can't deal with what they're facing at the moment.
John mentioned the fact that they've played, well, this is the third time they'll have played top 20 opposition in the FIFA World Rankings. The fact that they lost to Senegal in last June at the City Ground at Nottingham Forest. They drew the other night against Uruguay, and here they are against Japan, ranked 18th in the world. No Asian nation has ever previously beaten England. Drawn 4 and lost 6. Mind you, we said that about the African opposition before Senegal arrived at the City Ground, and Japan are on course for a historic victory. Gordon doesn't get round the back of Doan, but he will win a corner as Doan slips over and concedes that corner kick. On this near side, the England left with 55 minutes played. Japan lead 1-0.
And the corner was won because Anthony Gordon attacked his fullback and tried to get round the outside. Had to make the challenge, put the challenge in, and the corner's been won on this near side.
Thomas Tuchel and Anthony Barry are calling for some substitutes, have been warming up. Here come the first of what will be a raft of changes. I think Livramento and Solanke are the two who've been beckoned over. Meanwhile, England have a corner kick on this near side. The left, Gordon to take it, right-footed, goes towards the far post. It's pushed away by Suzuki, and he will concede another corner kick, but this time on the other side, the right.
Yeah, unconvincing from the goalkeeper. Not a bad delivery into the box, unaware of his surroundings. Fluffs his lines, the goalkeeper, gets away with it though.
So England are preparing changes as they wait for a corner kick on that far side, the right. Japan have got every blue shirt, that samurai blue, back inside their penalty area. Bit of jostling going on. It's lifted in from the right-hand side, and Gehi's header is off target. It drops out for a goal kick. Further goals in the World Cup playoff games. Chris Coles.
The first of the night in Pristina, where Turkey lead against Kosovo. Kosovo 0, Turkey 1. Kerem Aktürkoğlu arriving late at the back post to put Turkey in front. And a fourth goal of the night in Stockholm, where Poland are level against Sweden. Sweden 2, Poland 2. Swiderski tapping in after a fine Poland move. So Kosovo 0, Turkey 1, and Sweden 2, Poland 2.
And here at Wembley Stadium, England are trailing to Japan by 1-0. I can see Lewis Hall and Tino Livramento. It is going to be a quadruple change that is going to be made. Dominic Solanke is also there, and Jared Bowen. So Thomas Tuchel making these changes. Up to 11 can be made in this second half. Both sides have agreed that. 57 minutes played. Japan with Kamada. Doan is there as well, plays the ball in field and then played back, and all the way back by Watanabe towards Suzuki.
Well, you can only think there's going to be a system change with Dominic Solanke coming on. You wondered how long Thomas Tuchel would stick with this experiment that hasn't worked for him. I think with Solanke coming on, it'll definitely be going back to the isolated number 9. There'll be no false 9 situation. There might be a slight shape change in behind him. This will be interesting to see who he takes off in.
Yes, it will. Ball over the top, just bounced away from Ueda and gathered in by Jordan Pickford. Here is Mainu. Mainu looks for Gordon, but it's over the head. And I think now, as the ball goes out of play, might be the time to make those changes. We'll get an update. Ivory Coast, Scotland. Eilidh Barber.
Still Ivory Coast with that 1-goal lead, but another really good opportunity for George Hurst. Great feet, rode the challenge, but his shot just sliced over. A raft of changes here as well for Ivory Coast. Amad Diallo and Adingra are on for Scotland. Nathan Patterson on his home pitch at the Hill Dickinson Stadium, and David Moyes is watching. It is still Ivory Coast 1, Scotland 0.
And to Molly Stevens in Cardiff.
Where it's Wales 1, Northern Ireland 1. A great chance for the visitors just moments ago. Owen Toll's header, well saved by Carl Darlow, diving to his right hand side. Wales 1, Northern Ireland 1.
So the England changes that are being made. Lewis Hall comes on for Nico O'Reilly at left back. Tino Livramento replaces Ben White at right back. Just heard a few boos there as Ben White's name was read out, but that hasn't really been too much in evidence for the earlier part of the evening. Jared Bowen comes on for Cole Palmer, and Dominic Solanke replaces Phil Foden. So Bowen will go to the right. Rodgers then will move into that 10, and Dominic Solanke now leads the line. Yeah,
the clear out-and-out striker. That's the system change. When we talk about Harry Kane not being here, he's tried something different tonight with the 4 attacking players on the pitch. Excuse me, interchanging in that false number 9 role. But he's now certainly gone back to the lone striker with the 3 in behind, which he probably prefers.
Here is Lewis Hall. Are you all right?
Just a frog.
Just a frog. Ball cleared away by Japan. Gehi challenged. And eventually, Gehi is the one who's adjudged to have fouled Mitoma, the goal scorer. Japan will have a free kick almost midway through their own half. 30 minutes remain. This is the final game before England will head out to the World Cup. Gehi passes the ball then towards Mainu, and they're looking for an equaliser. Rodgers, and they haven't really created too many opportunities aside from the Anderson effort in the first half that hit the crossbar. The numbers are a concern for England with a lack of opportunities that they are creating in recent games.
Thomas Tuchel's absolutely furious. He keeps throwing his arms up in the air and down by his side. He's not happy with what he's watching.
Well, we will get the thoughts of Thomas Tuchel live on BBC Radio 5 Live with John Murray after the game from the tunnel here at Wembley. But on numerous occasions he has been animated and extremely frustrated. Sliding was Gehi to prevent that ball from reaching Junya Ito. The voices you can hear are that of over 7,000 Japanese fans over on the far corner. That expansive area where they're very happy to see their side lead by a goal to nil. Mainu. Hall. Again, they're quite compact. There was no real width on this near side, the left for England. Back it goes infield to Anderson.
And it's all slow, isn't it? It's all very, very slow in the build-up, allowing Japan to get back into this defensive shape.
Gordon collects the ball now, out wide on the left-hand side. Runs in field, edge of the area. Passes the ball now to his Newcastle teammate, Livramento. Right corner of the area. Livramento, though, can't deliver the cross. Goes back towards Anderson, a former Newcastle player, and Anderson runs forward, but they're playing in front of Japan. They can't find that bit of creativity to unlock this Japanese defence. Rogers battling for it, bursts into the area, shoots low, and gathered in by Zian Suzuki.
Now it's better from Morgan Rogers. Once again, slow play, slow build-up from England. But he took the initiative there, Rogers. The ball came to him 10-15 yards outside the box. He said, I'm going to drive into the penalty box. Gets into the penalty box, puts a weak cross across. It was easy enough for the goalkeeper, but better.
The attendance inside Wembley tonight, incidentally, 79,233. 7,236 are in that far corner supporting Japan. And they are now going to make their first set of substitutions. Moriyasu. And this could be... It's certainly going to be a double change, but it might even be a triple change. We'll have to wait and see. But I can see that Seko, the defender, is going to be coming on. And we're also going to see Ogawa, who is going to come on too, who is a forward. He's actually been in great form for his country. 10 goals in his 13 appearances. He plays for Nijmegen. Mind you, he did score a debut on his hat-trick back in 2019 against Hong Kong. So he waits to come on. I would imagine that would be like for like against Ueda. England are attacking. Bowen right-hand side, trailing by a goal to nil, looking for an equaliser, battling for it, and Japan get the ball away, only as far as Anderson, who comes forward to the edge of the area, then he just ran into traffic. But there was a foul on Rogers, and England get a direct free kick just outside the area.
Yeah, good attacking intent from Jared Bowen on the right-hand side, which led to the problems. He, in turn, drives into the 18-yard box and turn over possession, but they win it back. It's that man, Elliot Anderson, again, and his forward run is what causes the problems. Wins England a free kick at a yard just outside the 18-yard box.
It'll be Hiroki Ito and Ueda, as we thought, the two players to make way for just this double change. 63 minutes played, and England have a free kick. Are they going to make the change now, or will they wait? It is right of the D. It is just outside the area. Harry Maguire, meanwhile, tosses a water bottle to Jordan Pickford, who comes to the halfway line to collect it, and now he returns back to his penalty area, away towards our right-hand side. And you've got Rogers or Bowen as the two likely takers here. The left foot of Bowen or the right foot of Rogers. Japan have got everybody back inside the penalty area. We've been playing for... We're in the 65th minute here at Wembley. It's Morgan Rogers right-footed into the top of the wall, and then it rebounds out for that far side, and it will be a throw. And here comes that double change we were talking about, Paul.
Yeah, it's a difficult technique for Morgan Rogers from that distance. It's literally a yard outside the 18-yard box. Japan have got nearly everybody to a man back in the wall. He tries to hit the ball like the knuckleball, tries to get it up and down quickly. Fails in doing so, fires it straight at the Japan wall. Very difficult to get it up and down from that type of distance.
So Seko, who plays for Le Havre in France, he will replace Ito. Ogawa of Nijmegen comes on for Ueda, and they're actually told to hurry up.
Yeah, Seko, I think he's more of a defensive midfielder. I think we'll see him sit and protect that back four, back five, whatever they are when they're out of possession. He'll certainly sit in front of that. And Ogawa, as you say, he's a player that's in form.
And England wait to take the throw over on that right-hand side. England, who've scored in each of their last 21 matches. They're looking to try and get to their next best, which was 32 between 1902 and 1910. But they're drawing a bit of a blank here against Japan.
Been difficult for them and frustrating with the way that they've played at such a slow tempo. I think it's frustrated the manager as well as the crowd. But it's been difficult for them to play against such a well-organised side. They've struggled to create in this situation.
Yes, they have. Here is Anderson. Anderson's forward ball. Bowen tries to hold off the challenge that comes in from behind, has to pass the ball back to Anderson. Mainoo then takes it, shrugs off the challenge of Kamada, passes the ball forward, then the interception. And now England try and win it back with that turnover in play midway through the Japan half, and Hall runs away from Junya Ito and then goes it back inside towards Mainoo. Mainoo then to Anderson. Cries have come on England as Bowen on the right-hand side. And then he runs it out of play for a throw. And Bowen, who failed to make any impact whatsoever against Uruguay, can't get into the game here either.
Very difficult for the players. As we know, we were talking about the squad, and we'll have a long discussion after the game, I'm sure, as to who's impressed, who's on the plane, etc. And players like Bowen who have come on, they've got 30 minutes to impress the manager. The time slots that certain players are getting may maybe not be enough for them.
Well, they have only won 2 of their last 7 friendlies. They've drawn 2 and they've lost 3, and England are behind here again for what is their final game on English soil before they head to the World Cup, and it's not going to plan for Thomas Tuchel, who watches on as we now hand over to our correspondent John Murray midway through the second half, with Japan leading by 1-0.
Thank you, Ian. Yep, England on the attack. Lewis Hall, certainly not part of the plan to lose their last match at Wembley before the World Cup, but England now with Rodgers into the box. Hall with the cross to the near post, and Suzuki, the goalkeeper, was scrambling just a little there as Hall whipped it in. It was bang on target to creep in at the near post, but the goalkeeper got that.
Yeah, better from England again, but once again it's come from the wide area. With Lewis Hall coming on, he provides a little bit more natural width. He's not afraid to get forward.
It would be England's first defeat at Wembley under Thomas Tuchel. It would be England's first defeat in a senior men's international against an Asian country as the ball is played forward. However, still a quarter of the match to go, and the potential for many further changes. Who else do you think we might see?
Well, just looking down there, Marcus Rashford's down there. We know that we won't see Jude Bellingham tonight. Harry Maguire, he's down there as well. Dan Burns been warming up quite vigorously. I mean, there's 2 changes afoot now down on the England bench. I think one of them's Marcus Rashford.
Yeah, these are big moments for the players who are coming on here. People like Jared Bowen, the West Ham captain, on the right-hand side, as Gordon and Lewis Hall, the 2 Newcastle men, on the left flank at the moment, try to combine. That doesn't work. Japan are off on the counter-attack again. This could be dangerous. It's Kamada of Crystal Palace who lays the ball to the left-hand side. Nakamura, lovely little shift. Nakamura shot right across the face of the England goal and beyond the far post.
Oh, it's a really good attempt on goal that time from Nakamura. The problems that he caused on Japan's left, England's right in the first half, he's continued to do so in the second half. Fronts up Livramento, who doesn't get tight enough to him, gets inside the 18-yard box, 12 yards on the angle of the 6-yard box. Looked for all the world, it was found in the bottom left-hand corner of Jordan Pickford's goal. England goalkeeper went full stretch, it looked like he was beaten.
Yep, and that's a let-off for England. Another couple of changes coming, as you said, Paul, Marcus Rashford coming onto the field, and also James Garner's going to get a second cap. The Everton midfielder is going to be on, but we've got the water break now, so we've got a minute, and these are the final words that Thomas Tuchel will have at Wembley Stadium to speak to his players and try to turn this match around. There is a choice of listening right now on Sports Extra on your BBC Sounds app. Commentary on Ivory Coast, Scotland, and the score with you, Ailey Barber, is...
It's still Ivory Coast 1, Scotland 0, but Scotland pushing for the equaliser. They've had a lot more ball in the final third than they did against Japan, but they've just not really created a clear-cut opener. Lyndon Dykes and Tommy Conway now the up-front partnership. We'll see if they can find the breakthrough inside the last 10 minutes. It's still Ivory Coast 1, Scotland 0.
Water break continues. Commentary on Sports Extra from Everton. And in the friendly that neither Wales nor Northern Ireland wanted, Molly Stevens.
Absolutely, yeah. Wales 1, Northern Ireland 1 in this one. Both sides making a raft of changes now. Among them for Wales is bringing on Brennan Johnson, who graces the field to a smarting of boos around the Cardiff City Stadium, unlike anything I've heard here before as far as Brennan Johnson's involvement is concerned, and unlike what you normally hear from Wales fans. Brennan Johnson, of course, missing a penalty in that semi-final against Bosnia on Thursday. It's Wales 1, Northern Ireland 1.
Okay, Ghana and Rashford coming on for Anthony Gordon and Kobbie Mainoo. And Japan going to make another couple of changes as well. Ao Tanaka of Leeds United is going to come on into the midfield. The captain, Ritsu Doan, is coming off. And also trotting onto the field for Japan to take the place of Doan is Junosuke Suzuki, who plays in Denmark for Copenhagen to win his 6th cap. So Tanaka of Leeds also onto the field in the midfield. The ball is with England for a goal kick. But let's get another update on those crucial, absolutely pivotal, nail-biting, cliffhanger World Cup playoff finals with Chris Coles.
And all four, John, are compelling watches. No changes in the scores, but all 4 games are so close. It is so tense. Italy have had an excellent chance to double their advantage against Bosnia. Moise Kean clean through over the bar. Italy, remember, down to 10 men, but still 1-0 up. And Kosovo pushing for an equaliser against Turkey, but still Kosovo 0, Turkey 1. And in the other game, Sweden 2, Poland 2. This could be any scoreline, so many chances. And Kosovo 0, Turkey 1, as Denmark have just equalised in Prague. So another game is level in Prague. Czech Republic 1, Denmark 1.
Yes, there could be a little way to go yet in those 4 matches to clinch places at the World Cup. England 0, Japan 1 here at Wembley. Mitoma was one of the players who went off, the goal scorer, incidentally, the Brighton man.
He was. I'm just looking at the England team in the setup now. I think the 2 best players for England possibly from Friday night's game and tonight, Elliot Anderson and James Garner, are sat alongside each other in the England midfield. If there is no Declan Rice, I think these 2, this could be a nice little pairing for Thomas Tuchel. That might be one thing that he's found in these 2 games.
Yep. And Garner is someone who is staking a claim for one of those, handful of places. The England squad will be named at a date yet to be confirmed towards the end of May, sometime after the end of the Premier League final, and probably before the Champions League final, that last week of May. So Rashford's on the field on the left-hand side now for England. Comes back towards the halfway line, Ezri Konsa. Really, England have created next to nothing in the second half, with Harry Kane, the injured Harry Kane, sitting and watching behind Thomas Tuchel. Here's Rashford, that bounces away. England have got to find a way through, some craft through this packed Japanese defence. Ball played out by Garner to Livramento. Both Newcastle fullbacks are on, Livramento on the right and Hall on the left. Back it comes to Konsa of Aston Villa, gives it to the captain tonight, Mark Gay, in the absence of Harry Kane from the team, from the starting lineup. Just a minor problem in training, if you haven't heard that, but Mark Gay captaining the team, having been born in Ivory Coast and moving to England when he was a baby. The family moved to Lewisham. What a proud night it is for Mark Gay. Ball played in by Rashford, that's dangerous, but it's headed away on the edge of the Japanese 6-yard box. Just under 20 minutes to play for England to try and find a way through here. Lewis Hall now in the penalty area, turns, clips it to the back post. That's headed away to the edge of the box, and Kamada is there for Japan to turn and with his left foot volley it over the halfway line.
Done well since he's come on, Lewis Hall. He's provided England that width that they've so desperately needed. That time again, Marcus Rashford is now on the left-hand side. He cut inside, allowed the space. Lewis Hall took the opportunity, got in a really good position, lifted the ball into the 6-yard box.
And actually, you know, friendly international, we've all said about Friday night what we had to say, but there is a little bit of peril here in this match. It does feel it, even though there is technically nothing at stake in terms of the outcome of the match, but for the players involved, lots on the line. Solanke, he's certainly one, with England being able to provide so little in the absence of Kane. With Solanke coming on, what a big opportunity it is for him yet to get off the mark with a goal for England.
Do you know what, John? I think tonight Solanke's become a better player in the mind of Thomas Tuchel by not playing, because he's looked at his other option and it hadn't worked for him. Solanke is obviously at the front of the queue ahead of Dominic Calvert-Lewin, ahead of Ollie Watkins, and if they are not to change the system when Harry Kane doesn't play, Solanke looks like the sensible replacement.
That's Paul Robinson, England World Cup goalkeeper. Paul will be part of our World Cup commentary team on 5 Live. So many of the attendance just been announced here. 5 Live, the place to listen to all of the matches at the World Cup. Every England match, every Scotland match, 5 Live, the place to hear it. Here's Lewis Hall on the left-hand side, the fair head left back. Rashford gives it back to Hall, but in comes the challenge inside the box from Kaishu Sano, putting it behind for an England corner from the left-hand side.
Very well organised, aren't they, this Japanese side? Very, very good to watch. Technically, you can see how well that they're coached. England a territorial advantage, nearly 68% possession, 11 shots from England, but only one of them actually on target.
Yep, beat Germany and Spain at the last World Cup. As I said, they beat Brazil before Christmas. Beaten Germany this season. Now they're winning here against England, having won in Glasgow against Scotland on Saturday night. That all adds up to, should we be talking about Japan as maybe a surprise package for the World Cup?
They're certainly not going to be a pushover, are they? They're going to be a very tough side to beat.
Anderson out to the right-hand side. Here's Jared Bowen with a cross to the near post, but a diving header away from Seko. Still at the edge of the area. Anderson into the box. Might have been caught there inside the area, was sent flying. Livramento now crosses, and that's deflected away behind for another England corner. And Thomas Tuchel's side are gaining a bit of momentum here.
Yeah, no surprises. Once again, it's Elliot Anderson. He's at the heart of everything. He puts the tempo into the game. Really committed performance from Elliot Anderson.
Yes, so one of the Japanese reporters yesterday, the many Japanese reporters said to Thomas Tuchel, in Japan, we have declared that Japan can win the World Cup. What do you think? Thomas Tuchel said, good. It's good to dream. Corner for England from the right. Well, at the moment, the dream of winning at Wembley is very real for Japan, but only one goal in it. In comes the corner of the near post. Goalkeeper Suzuki gets 2 fists to it, punches it away. Back to the corner taker, Bowen. Then in, it's swung by Anderson to the back post. Headed across by Rodgers. Rashford's under there, shoots. The goalkeeper's able to make the save. Still in the area, and it's hooked wide on the edge of the box. Jared Bowen got there but couldn't turn it on target with his back to goal, hitting the shot on the twist but wide of the post.
Yeah, ball into the penalty box again, falls to Marcus Rashford once again. A lot of Japanese bodies in between the player and the goalkeeper in front of him. Marcus Rashford has his shot blocked, comes back out off the goalkeeper's hands. He doesn't deal with it particularly well, the goalkeeper Suzuki shovels it out more than anything. Opportunity for Jared Bowen on the turn, swivels on his right foot, puts it wide of the left hand post. But it's getting better from England. You can see there's a little bit of urgency. You can feel there's a jeopardy to this game, a bit of professional and personal pride. They don't want to lose this game.
5 Live, England 0, Japan 1. More commentary on 5 Live tomorrow night, the second leg of the Chelsea-Arsenal Women's Champions League tie. And also, Search Football Daily, we've got Serena Wiegman on the Women's Football Weekly after she named her latest squad earlier today. And also, mark your card, later this week, the football interview on BBC Sounds on the Football Daily feed will be Thomas Tuchel's number 2, Anthony Barry. That'll be on there on Thursday. England coming forward again with Rashford. Another triple Japanese change about to be made as the ball is played infield by Garner. And now Konza out to the right-hand side. And England with it on the edge of the penalty area. Livramento back to the right. Here's the cross, but it's over everyone inside the penalty area and hooked away to comparative safety by Kaishu Sano. Out of play.
Sorry, John. They have looked better with Solanke on the field. They've looked more cohesive unit in a system that they know, and the players, playing in behind him, the likes of Jared Bowen, Rashford. They've looked better in those areas of the pitch. Solanke's been a focal point which has taken the attention of the central defenders away.
Lewis Hall curls the ball forward into the penalty area, but it bounces away from Solanke and through and behind, and we will see this next change. So Daichi Kamada is coming off. Also leaving the field is Junya Ito, who scored the winner against Scotland at Hampden on Saturday. And the third of the 3 changes this time in the window, we'll see Nakamura, who set up the goal, the number 13 Nakamura, who set up the only goal of the match so far for Kaoru Mitoma. And the 3 players coming on, former Southampton man Yukinari Sugawara, Yuito Suzuki coming on, the number 8, and also the number 9 Shuto Machino, who plays yet another one of this team, who plays in Germany for Borussia Mönchengladbach, winning his 14th cap. So he is coming on, the number 9, to play up front as well, with Koki Ogawa. So obviously the Japanese coach Hajime Moriyasu thinking, while England try and force the issue and to try and find the equaliser. He's thinking they might be able to snatch one at the other end and make it 2-0.
I think there's one thing that you can see about this Japanese side as well. They've got a strong squad depth. When you look at the players and you look at where they're playing in Europe and the club level that they're playing at.
England have given it away. This could be danger here. The ball is played across towards the right-hand side to Sano, but England win it back. Lewis Hall breaking over the halfway line, but blue shirts absolutely pouring back, and they're all very quickly in place. And James Garner, as he receives it from Lewis Hall, and England have to start again, and Japan are right back in formation. Elliot Anderson, despite all of the changes, extremely well drilled. This coach has been in charge for, well, it'll be 8 years in the summer. Never been beyond the round of 16 in the World Cup. Japan, this will be their 8th consecutive finals. Here's Gay for England, and then Rashford. A little crisper from England this. The passing is better. Garner on the left flank, back to Lewis Hall. Rashford's near the edge of the penalty area. This is all on the England left. Rashford tries to flick it forward to Lewis Hall. The ball runs away behind. It is given as a corner to England.
Yeah, the changes have made the difference. We always spoke about the changes and it being disjointed and, it affecting the game, but actually the changes that Thomas Tuchel has made and the change in formation, England have looked better since those changes have been made. Certainly Marcus Rashford and Lewis Hall for me down this left-hand side has had an impact.
Interesting, we're now going to see Dan Burn and Harry Maguire coming on. So 2 central defenders coming onto the field now. It's like a revolving door, this, isn't it? As we knew it was going to be. But Mark Gay leaves the field, having captained England for the first time here tonight. The new Manchester City defender gives the armband to Harry Maguire, and Ezri Konsa coming off as well. So Burn and Maguire, the 2 central defenders now. So changing the central defenders.
I've got my team sheet in front of me, John. I've got that many crosses and names written down. It's hard to see who's where.
It's going to be a corner for England to be taken by Jared Bowen from the left-hand side. The referee just spotted a little bit of nonsense there. I think Harry Maguire gets a big cheer from those who are still inside Wembley Stadium, because there are empty, gleaming red seats appearing all around the stadium, despite the fact England are pushing and trying to find this equaliser. So Bowen with the corner, left-footed from the left. In it comes, and Maguire with a header. It's saved on the line by the goalkeeper. The falling Suzuki was able to get his hands to it and punch it away. Comes back in again for England. Almost instant impact from Harry Maguire, and it's deflected behind another England corner.
Well, that's what he brings you, Harry Maguire. It's cleared off the line, defensive header just in front of the goalkeeper. Simple out-swinging corner from Jared Bowen, but Harry Maguire arrives there. Big, strong presence inside the 18-yard box. Gets a header and nearly gets a goal with his first touch.
7 minutes to go. 1-0 to Japan. 5 live from the BBC. Bowen, as England try to rescue this match. They don't want to go and leave Wembley and head to the World Cup with a defeat behind them, just like England against Iceland before Euro 2024. Bowen takes it, delivers it towards the back post. That's headed up and away, doesn't clear the penalty area, is headed further away, comes out to Lewis Hall. Hall gives it back to Bowen, and the West Ham captain, little ball infield towards James Garner. Garner now just with the outside of his right boot, a clean foot, as Thomas Tuchel called it. Rashford with a burst into the box. Too many defenders there, too many Japanese defenders in blue, and it's cleared right-footed away to the halfway line by Taniguchi. Another update from Hill Dickinson Stadium. Ailey Barber.
Full time, and the Nicolas Pepe first half goal enough for Ivory Coast to make it back-to-back victories on English soil. Scotland, they had a lot more in the final third, but it was another blank for Steve Clarke's side. It's finished at the Hill Dickinson Stadium. Ivory Coast 1, Scotland 0.
So 2 1-0 defeats for Scotland in these 2 matches, and the Scotland under-21s have lost 3-0 to Portugal in that qualifier this evening. England continue to press. Just over 5 minutes to go here at an emptying Wembley Stadium. There aren't 79,000 people in here anymore. Maguire passing it out to Lewis Hall, but slightly behind him. So Hall infield to Rashford, then back to Dan Burn, who gets his first touch of the match as he wins his 6th cap. Another one of the Newcastle contingent. Rashford, right-footed out to the right wing, where Morgan Rogers takes it down. Rogers takes on the full-back, gets the ball in, it took a deflection. It's another England corner from the right, 1-0 Japan lead.
Do you know what we're seeing here, John? England trying to win a game or get back into a game late on. He's brought Harry Maguire on. He's not once sat in a back four. He's stayed as a central striker. He's been the focal point. He's up there next to Dominic Solanke. They've got the ball wide. He won that header from a corner kick. And this might be part of Thomas Tuchel's thinking. If you're chasing a game late, we know what a pest Harry Maguire can be in the 18-yard box.
Yeah, thought he was solid, very solid the other night, Harry Maguire. And now he's come on and he's causing problems. He might not be so far down the pecking order if he's able to come up with the equaliser. Corner for England from the right-hand side this time. And lots of movement in the box. Maguire goes to the near post, does get his head to it, but underneath it can only head it up and wide of the near post. Again, very, very busy penalty area, and it is a goal kick.
Well, Harry Maguire's been on the field for less than 5 minutes, and he's had more attempts on target than Morgan Rogers, Cole Palmer and Anthony Gordon and Phil Foden combined in the first half. He's a real presence, he's a real threat. You know, it's not always that you need 60, 65 passes to create an ideal goal. Actually put the ball into dangerous areas and get bodies on the end.
Harry Maguire winning his 66th cap tonight. England 0, Japan 1. And Japan are now just 4 minutes away, plus added time, from becoming the first Asian team to beat England in a senior men's international, and to boot, they'd be doing it at Wembley. Ball out of play for a throw on the halfway line. Chris Coles keeping across the World Cup playoff finals, Chris.
And a huge goal in Zenica, John. Bosnia and Herzegovina are level against 10 men Italy. Haris Tabakanovic with a ball into the penalty area. He headed it in, and Italy have 7 minutes to force extra time, down to 10 men with that Bosnia equaliser. Still Czechia 1, Denmark 1, Kosovo 0, Turkey 1, and Sweden 2, Poland 2.
What a story that is. England coming forward. Livramento couldn't get there. Maguire touches it to the right-hand side. Jared Bowen in the box, tries to work it across. Defender's able to stop it from going out for a corner, and in the end plays it off. Jared Bowen, and Japan have a throw-in in their own left-back position with 2.5 minutes of the 90 to play, Paul Robinson.
The best opportunities that England have had this evening in this disjointed game have been from set plays. Spoke last week quite openly about the opportunity for England to capitalise on the Premier League's prowess with the set plays, and it's come to fruition again tonight. The opportunities that they've had, they've created very little in open play, but actually as the game's gone, they've looked more and more dangerous from corner kicks and free kicks.
Japan trying to work it away to the halfway line, but it comes back for England. Rogers, then Rashford helps it into the box nicely, but Solanke, like a bull at the gate, is able to, as the challengers come in on him, wins a corner for England with defenders diving in.
They've looked better with Solanke on the pitch. There's been more cohesion and understanding of a formation that they've played many times before.
Marcelo Bielsa and Uruguay, Paul, tonight. 0-0 draw in Italy against Algeria for them. Corner from the right. Ghana to take it. This is a high corner towards the penalty spot. Maguire with a header, but that's blocked by defender on the edge of the 6-yard box. Lewis Hall shoots it in, and Suzuki goes down. Sharp save from him, quickly down to his right to push it around the post. Another England corner.
Once again, from a set playing his best opportunities. Harry Maguire does really well, gets himself free. 12 yards from goal is a long way out to get an opportunity on target. Comes back out to Lewis Hall. His first touch is excellent, forces a really good save.
Yeah, but another chance for Maguire to add to your list, Paul. Corner, Bowen to take this one, still 1-0 Japan, 5 live from the BBC. In it comes, and it's headed by Byrne, blocked on the line, then shot up over the top of the crossbar by Morgan Rogers. Absolutely packed 6-yard box. Rogers trying to roof it, but sent it over the bar.
Harry Maguire and Dan Byrne are causing all kinds of problems in there. There's a lot of Japanese defenders in there, but they can't deal with the two big England central defenders. It's a simple out-swinging corner again. The focus that time was on Harry Maguire. A lot of defenders in and around him. It was Dan Byrne who scooped in and around the back. Got a header on target, came back out. Morgan Rogers couldn't put the rebound on target.
Stand by, Paul. Chris Coles has more news.
Delirium in Stockholm because Sweden have scored in the 88th minute to give them a 3-2 lead over Denmark. Victor Gyökeres, whose hat-trick got them to the final, has scored after a scramble. The camera pan to Robert Lewandowski. Are we to see the final World Cup for him? His Poland team need a goal if they're to get Lewandowski to the World Cup. Sweden 3, Poland 2.
Maybe a final World Cup act for Robert Lewandowski, but maybe Graham Potter will be going to the World Cup with Sweden. 4 minutes to be added here. England and Japan safe of their places in the summer. England were the first European team to qualify for this World Cup. Japan were the first team to qualify after the hosts, that is, the first team to come through the qualifying process. They've known that they'd be there for a long time, but they look in good shape. Winning here against England, they're going to be they're going to be a tough nut to crack, Japan, when it comes to the summer. England haven't been able to find a way past them yet. 4 minutes of added time. If it's going to come for England, it's going to be late. Maguire finds a pass to Lewis Hall. He flicks it forward. Garner tries to get there, but Japan clear it away. Dan Burn is able to get a touch on this. Elliot Anderson has to dive in, and that's a foul by Anderson on Ogawa, and a free kick to Japan. There'll be a no hurry here.
It was a poor first touch from Elliot Anderson, uncharacteristic of him this evening. He's been excellent. The ball just got away from him, jumped in just inside the Japanese half, and they're certainly not in a rush to take this at all.
I think down on the side of the pitch, Paul, the fourth official in his FIFA outfit, all in black, Don Robertson. I think he'll be relieved. Might get the Man of the Match award for dealing with all of those substitutions. He got all the numbers punched in. Well done, Don. Free kick for Japan. And they throw it back to Suzuki, who's going to take this. The referee, Nick Walsh, says, come on, get on with it. And Suzuki, who's made a number of saves now in the second half, the Japanese goalkeeper, clears it, hits it downfield. It's been chased by Machino. Machino is taking it in time-honoured fashion towards the corner flag, and I think he ran it out of play. He did. It's a throw into England. Already had 2 minutes of the 4 of added time, and we are closing in here, just a couple of minutes away from really a piece of footballing history, as England win a free kick. Clash of heads, but I think it's James Garner who's rubbing the back of his head. It is, as he runs away, he's okay. Don Robertson has got another little task, because coach Moriyasu has actually wandered out of his coaching area. It looks as though he's lost down there, doesn't he? It looks as though Don Robertson's found him and put him back in the
put him back in his box.
Yes, he has, quite literally. Here's Lewis Hall. Hall now to Rashford. Rashford back towards the halfway line. It's got to go forward from England, and actually Elliot Anderson miscontrolled it, then was fouled, and we've got the first yellow card of the night for Japan, and Koki Ogawa for that late challenge on Anderson. This is probably it. Probably last chance for England to find the equaliser and avoid defeat.
This is it. Jordan Pickford looked like going to take the free kick just inside the Japanese half. All the England players are forward. Maguire, Burn. It's like an old manager once said to me, if you want to score a goal in the 94th minute, where do you put the ball? In the box. We'll do it in the first minute then.
I think I know who that was. Garner takes this free kick. Suzuki, the goalkeeper, comes and makes the catch, and 7,000 people, none of them have left. The Japanese supporters, they applaud rapturously and wave their blue flags over in the corner. Japanese flag as well, that distinctive flag, the white with the red circle, is being held proudly there. They're nearly there, Japan. What a double this is. What a March double for them, to win in Glasgow against Scotland and to win in London against England. Suzuki, right-footed downfield, just seconds left to play. I make it 10 seconds to go. This has got to go long from Pickford. He runs it up towards the halfway line. It looks as though Kaoru Mitoma's goal in the first half is going to win it for Japan, but Maguire can't get there, and there is the final whistle at Wembley Stadium. It is defeat for Thomas Tuchel here at Wembley for the first time as the England manager. 1-0, Japan have won it, an historic victory for Japan to become the first Asian team to beat England in a senior men's international, and they've done it here at Wembley Stadium. Some of the famous defeats over the years that England have suffered here, well, put this on the list. Japan beat England at Wembley in 2026, and that is not the way that England wanted to head to the World Cup in the summer, losing at Wembley in their last match here before the tournament, 1-0 against fellow finalists Japan.
Very disappointing evening for Thomas Tuchel. The experiment that he tried in the first half with the front four clearly didn't work. It didn't take him long in the second half to change it, but you give England credit, because when those changes were made, there was a lot more cohesion, a lot more understanding with that focus of a front man in Dominic Solanke. Lewis Hall provided natural width. Marcus Rashford as well caused problems. Jared Bowen on the opposite side, he made a difference when he came on. James Garner and Elliot Anderson. Elliot Anderson has been superb for me from start to finish tonight. One of the only players that completed the full 94 minutes. I think he's been a shining light for Thomas Tuchel. I think there's one thing that he's taken from these two games is James Garner, the form that he's in. Elliot Anderson, the pair of them can play as a pair if there is a problem for Declan Rice. But the one thing that Thomas Tuchel's got a problem, if there's a problem for Harry Kane, England have got a real problem watching that tonight.
Yeah, listen, England lost here the last match. Gareth Southgate's last international at Wembley before the Euros in Germany to Iceland, and it felt like things were at a low ebb. England still actually went on to reach the final of that tournament by hook or by crook. But Paul Robinson's absolutely right. Jude Bellingham was here tonight, but not able to get onto the field because of the injury that he's recovering from. So I think that's probably the story tonight. England without Bellingham, without Saka, without James, without Stones, without Rice, but most of all, without Harry Kane, who is sitting on the side of the pitch watching tonight. It really feels as though England really need those big figures, almost that they can't do without them, particularly the captain and centre forward. So as the England players go around, this wasn't the send-off that they were hoping for. They're doing it to thousands of empty red seats inside Wembley Stadium, while Japan celebrate their famous victory here. England 0, Japan 1.
And despite the fact, as John Murray said, that Jude Bellingham didn't make it onto the pitch this evening, they are still playing his song here at Wembley. He may yet be a difference maker for England. John Murray, Ian Dennis and Paul Robinson are with us. We will reflect on that defeat for England. 1-0 it finished to Japan at the end of that game. The full-time whistle has gone in Cardiff in the game between Wales and Northern Ireland. Molly Stevens.
And it ends on as even in the game that no one wanted to play here. Wales won, Northern Ireland won in this international friendly. Wales dominated the ball, but Northern Ireland were comfortable in taking their chances on the counter-attack. Jamie Donnelly opened the scoring for the visitors in the first half. His header came off the post, but he was there to tuck away the rebound. Then Sober Thomas was quick to equalise from close range after the restart. The players leave the field here in Cardiff knowing now that their World Cup hopes and dreams can sink in as they head back to their clubs, and North America will not loom for either side this summer. Wales won, Northern Ireland won.
And we're getting to the point where those final European places at the World Cup are about to be decided. Chris Coles has been across a really entertaining evening.
It has been brilliant viewing, Kelly, and will continue to be brilliant viewing because at least one of tonight's games going to extra time. That's in Prague, where it's finished Czech Republic 1, Denmark 1. Fulham's Jørgen Andersen equalising for the Danes in the second half. Sweden are through to the World Cup. Graham Potter's Sweden, what a job he's done there. Victor Gyökeres scoring late on to beat Poland 3-2, so no World Cup swan song for Robert Lewandowski. Kosovo have 40 seconds to try and find an equaliser in Pristina, trailing to Turkey by a 1-0, and eyes glued to Zenica, where it's still Bosnia and Herzegovina 1, 10-man Italy 1. We've played the 3 additional minutes, so that looks like it's heading to extra time. Bosnia looking for their first World Cup appearance, and Italy looking to get there for the first time since 2014. And in fact, the whistle goes in Zenica, so we are heading to extra time there. Bosnia 1, Italy 1, Czechia 1, Denmark 1, that in extra time. Turkey on the verge of beating Kosovo 1-0, and Sweden have beaten Poland 3-2.
Thank you, Chris. Here at Wembley, it finished England 0, Japan 1. Senior football commentator Ian Dennis and former England number 1 Paul Robinson are still with me. Deno, not a game in which England sparkled. There were reasons for that. They were missing plenty of senior squad members from their starting 11, and in fact even from the bench. But Japan looked impressive.
Japan did look impressive, yeah. The first Asian side to beat England, a deserved win too. They carried the greater threat. They scored through Matoma. It was a well-created goal after 23 minutes. They also hit the crossbar in that first half, and England struggled to break them down. And I think you're right, Kelly. I mean, you could point out that there's no Harry Kane, who we were expecting him to captain England tonight, but as a precautionary measure, he didn't do so due to a minor issue. They weren't prepared to take that risk, so they were without him. Saka, Rice, James, Bellingham, established players, and it was the least inexperienced side that Thomas Tuchel has named in his 12 games in charge. However, that said, you know, ahead of the game, he was talking about the possibility, what do you do without Harry Kane? And he says, well, I've got a few ideas. And he tried this false nine, which England tried under Lee Carsley against Greece in November of October 2024. Didn't seem to work that particular night in a 2-1 defeat, and I don't think it worked tonight either. You asked Paul Robinson ahead of the game who's playing themselves out of position. I think Phil Foden is, because back in November Phil Foden was being talked about as a regular. He's now gone 22 games without a goal, didn't really get himself involved. Palmer was trying to initiate something, Rodgers was playing out wide right, didn't seem to come off, and only when they made the changes late on, Harry Maguire ironically as a defender going up front and Rashford on the left, and Solanke coming on as a natural striker, did they seem to get any sort of like balance back into the team?
He didn't come on as a central defender, Harry Maguire, did he? He threw him on as a central striker, and they went longer, they went more direct. And like I said, at one point in the game, Harry Maguire, within 5-10 minutes of being on the pitch, he's had more attempts on target than the whole front four in the first half. And that just shows England lacked width at times, they lacked creativity with any type of pace. The possession that they had, the territorial advantage, they dominated. You look at all the stats, you go on the BBC website and look at the stats. Other than the one at the top that's the most important one, they've won in every category. But actually they didn't create enough in the final third, they weren't quick enough in possession, and it's only when they made the changes and reverted back to the formation with Solanke up front as that Harry Kane figure, if you like. Marcus Rashford, I thought, had an impact when he came on. I thought Lewis Hall had a good impact when he came on, provided width, put balls into the box. But in all honesty, I think tonight provided more questions than answers.
So is that, maybe, except potentially one of the answers is that if Harry Kane were to be unavailable for whatever reason in any match in the World Cup, that it's maybe a like-for-like substitution rather than a change of approach from England. Is that going to be the best answer? Yeah,
I think so. I think that's one thing that he will have seen tonight. I don't think that trial, the trial with the four attackers, they just got in each other's way. They played far too narrow, ran into each other's spaces, and they couldn't really make anything happen for themselves in the final third. And it wasn't until they had that central figurehead striker that took the attention of the central defenders. Because when you're playing with those types of players, when you're playing with the Morgan Rodgers, Cole Palmer, Anthony Gordon, Phil Foden, they're at their best when there's space in between the midfield and the defenders. So what Solanke does, or what Harry Kane does, he occupies the back four. He pushes the back four away, and those players then have the space in the pockets of areas where they can deploy their talent best. But they just had four quality players in each other's space in front of the Japanese defence, unable to get in behind.
I also wonder about Ollie Watkins, who wasn't named in the squad. If these two games against Uruguay and tonight have actually enhanced his claims as well, because what Ollie Watkins is proven at tournament football, you look at the configuration of the 26-man squad. For 2022, the last World Cup, they only took two strikers, Kane and Wilson. For the Euros in 2024, they took three recognised strikers, Kane, Toney and Watkins. I think they'll only take two this time. Because of the options of maybe playing Bellingham in a more advanced role as well. But I think the fact that Watkins can run in behind by him not playing, I think he's actually possibly enhanced his own claims in a bizarre sort of way.
Well, do you know what? When you look at talk about Ollie Watkins as well, I know Ivan Toney's been in the squad. Thomas Tuchel's had one look at him and he's not looked again. But you look at the form that Ivan Toney's in, he's the top scorer in the Saudi Pro League. He scored 25 goals this season, and you look at his ability to take penalties as well. I know that's not the be-all and end-all of it, but I just think there's more to his game as well. Whether he looks there, that's a question that maybe not be quite answered yet from Thomas Tuchel.
And we know that England have never been shy of kind of going into tournaments with this idea, particularly under Gareth Southgate, of winning games by the smallest of margins, and that, of course, is what penalties can come down to. The noise from the over 7,000 Japan fans tucked away in the corner of Wembley is just incredible. The players are still out there long after the final whistle has gone, and they're celebrating with their fans. They look really impressive. They look really exciting, look really creative in a way that England didn't in this game. They're a team who've developed throughout various tournaments, but maybe in Europe we don't see much of Japan. So every time we get to a World Cup, we go, could Japan be the dark horses? Have we passed them being dark horses now?
Well, I think there could be a surprise package, certainly. I mean, I actually commentated on their two games at the Khalifa Stadium in Qatar at the last World Cup, where they came from behind and they beat both Spain and Germany by 2-1 and actually topped the group in the last World Cup. And if you look at their record against European nations, They're now unbeaten in their last 8 matches. Their last defeat against a European side was Belgium in the 2018 World Cup. The manager has been in place since 2018. They're well structured, they've got talent, they're well drilled, they pose a threat on the break, and they're in Group F with Netherlands, Tunisia, Netherlands, Tunisia, and then obviously the winners of Sweden, Poland. So that'll be Sweden. I think they've got a great chance. Really do. Not of winning it, but going a long way in the competition.
They've proved that they're hard to beat. I think they showed susceptibility towards the end when England actually upped the tempo and upped the quality of their play, especially defending from set plays they struggled with. But like you say, all the stats, when you look at where they've been recently, I mean, that's 5 games in a row that they've won now. I mean, they only conceded 3 in the 10 games of the qualifying campaign. So they are a team that are very, very difficult to break down.
In fact, that's 5 successive wins, and it includes beating Brazil when they were 2-0 down to come back to win 3-2. So you're looking at credentials, they're certainly showing it.
Yeah, Japan really tough opposition for England this evening, but still looking for the positives from that England performance, of which there weren't many, but one player that caught your eye, Paul, was Elliot Anderson.
I thought he was outstanding, both defensively and offensively. I think he's continued his club form and the way that he's developed as a player this season. He could well become a key part of Thomas Tuchel's plans for the summer alongside Declan Rice. If he is to play the 4 at the back with the 2 holding midfielders, it's looking very much like it's Elliot Anderson and Declan Rice in those positions. I just think what he gives you defensively, he covers so much ground, he wins the ball back quickly, but then he also turns defence into attack. England were guilty of being slow in possession and pedestrian-like, but every time he got the ball, he looked forward, he tried to make something happen. He understands both sides of the game very, very well.
I'm just thinking about Thomas Tuchel, who's now got these decisions to make. He's had his last look at this group of players before he names the squad. Jenna, you were saying you think Phil Foden may have potentially played himself out of a place in that squad. This feels like a different approach from an England manager, where it's not about just putting the best players in and moulding the team to them. It's about looking at who works well, who can deliver in their position, and who can perform on the day. And it doesn't matter how good you are, if you don't fill that role, you're not in the squad.
Well, he talked before about Foden, Bellingham and Kane cannot all play if we keep the same structure. He'd also said previously Palmer, Foden, Rodgers, Bellingham, Gibbs, White, he can't take them all. So he's been very honest, and I'm sure he's been very candid too with the players as well over this last international break to a week to 10 days. I also think he does things deliberately, because what he wants to do, he wants, like any England manager, you want to go there with a group of players that are a cohesive unit that get on very, very well. And I think that he's been testing Harry Maguire in the build-up to this match. If John Stones is fit, your first central defensive partnership is Mark Gahey and John Stones. The question would be, would Harry Maguire go to a World Cup when he's previously been one of those go-to central defenders and either be a squad member? And after the Uruguay game, he was asked by the press, where is he in the pecking order? And he said, well, he's currently behind Chalobah. And then all of a sudden people have made a lot about that. I'm wondering if that's a test to see how Harry Maguire responds to not starting tonight, to see if he could go as a squad member of the 26 rather than as a recognised first starter. But we saw the impact that he can provide off the bench.
Well, as an emergency striker. I mean, as daft as that sounds, Harry Maguire coming off the bench when the game's in a situation like that, he caused a real threat.
And Manchester United have used him like that to great effect under Ten Hag, wasn't it? Who would bring him on at the end of European games at times.